I can do what I want when I want to do it. I can do what I need when I need to get through it. When I need someone else, can't be too proud for help, but gotta look after myself. Sometimes it can get lonely, never living in the moment. When the sun is shining, hope that I'm reminded, like how the clouds keep changing. I'm always steady rearranging, going back to the basics of what a good day is. What a good day is. And that's exactly what the day is. But it's exactly what you make it. So please don't go wasting. And I'll do the same, even if it's raining. How could I complain? And my feels got me feeling some type of way. You always free to take a break. Hope you feel what I felt. You gotta look after yourself. Sometimes it can get lonely, never living in the moment. When the sun is shining, hope that I'm reminded, like how the clouds keep changing. I'm always steady rearranging, going back to the basics of what a good day is. Of what a good day is. What a good day is. And that's exactly what the day is.
All right, we are in the building. Y'all know what to do. It is that time on the Thursday. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can see me. We gonna go ahead and get right into it. Let's see how we're looking up in here. Ooh, wee. Yeah, we're looking all crispy and clean on the screen. Welcome, y'all. Welcome back to another YouTube live stream and another episode of the Music Morning Show. I'm your host, Classy Beats of ClassyBeats.com, and today we're gonna get back into it. It's gonna be a good time. I've got a lot of news for y'all. We're gonna get into the ASAP Rocky trial a little bit later this afternoon. We're gonna kick that off around 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But before that, we've got so much news we have to get into. It's gonna be crazy, y'all. We're gonna talk about Fani Willis. We're gonna talk about Diddy. He's got a new lawsuit out. This man was busy. And then we're gonna talk about what's going on with Jay-Z as well. But before I get into it, I gotta say what's up to the people, man. Shout out to everybody who's in here. Let me see who we got in the building. Of course, my awesome, amazing Amy is in the building. Excuse me. Shout out to Amy, reminding y'all to like the video. Always in here, always showing love. We got Les Cleaver in here with the 2-bomb super chat. Says thank you. Shout out to Les. We got Michi in the building as well. Says congratulations, Classy Beats, on 105K. Oh my gosh. Amazing channel. Thank you so much, Michi. Always showing love, always showing support. Even when she doesn't make it to the live stream, she lets me know in the comments of the clips that we post that she's watching. So shout out to Michi, always showing love. I appreciate you. My dog, Jay Buckmaster's in the building. Jay, I saw your super chat from the other day and I read it on Wednesday's show. Thank you for sending that in. We've got M Shoney in here, or is it Miss Honey? I think it's Miss Honey is in the building for real. Shout out to you. Valencia's in the building. Noticeably Rosie. We got Slim Life, A-Fit, Shadow Fox. The Honorable Attorney Kel Bell is in the building. Floyd, the real deal Neil, is up in here. Ryan S, good morning. Miss 86, good morning to all of y'all. We've got, oh man, we got Tammy, is it Tammy Heilman? Hopefully I said that right. Shout out to Tammy. Danny in real life is in the building. We got Ducky Dexter up in here. Tamara Streets is in the building. Good to see you. We got Miss HLS is up in here too. Good to see you. Libby 22 SC girl, number 12 online. Good morning. We've got, oh man, there's so many of y'all in here. Connie's in the building. Monica is up in here. Wondrous One, good to see you. And also we've got, who is that? We've got I'm just gonna say eyes because I'm gonna mess it up. Just became a new member. Shout out to I'm gonna mess it up. Shout out to eyes over there. Please let me know how to pronounce that because y'all know I'd be struggling. Good morning to you. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get into it. Again, as I mentioned, we've got a lot of news we're gonna cover today. We've got some new lawsuits that were filed. We're gonna read some court documents, get into a couple articles, even check out some videos from some of the people who are involved in the legal proceedings. But before we do that, if y'all could please do me one favor and like the video on your way in. Not only is it free, not only does it help the show continue to grow, but it lets the algorithm know that you guys are enjoying the show and it shares the video with more people. All right, we got Blissful is in here as well. Good to see you. Thank y'all to everybody who's liked the video so far too. We're almost at 100% likes actually. So I won't be harassing y'all too much this morning. All right, shout out to the Valda Ross says my new favorite. Thank you so much. 716 is in the building too. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Ooh, but before we do, we've got, oh my gosh, another super chat from Slim Life with the 2 bomb says 105K. Congrats, love the Class E Bates family. Thank you, Slim Life. I appreciate y'all. And thank y'all for sending in super chats as well. I will be reading super chats as we go throughout the show. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. This first one, oh man, y'all, it's going to be one of those days today. Today is we're going to start out the show with the Fani Willis smoke show. And it started out the right way. Fani Willis is in some more trouble. We've been covering at length what's been going on between Fani Willis and now her recent war that she's waged against Fulton County and most specifically the Board of Commissioners and specifically the commissioner here in Fulton County. So she was asking for more money. She said, if I didn't get more money, I'm going to sue. Well, it's looking like that didn't work out so well for Fani Willis. Let's get into it and see what she's talking about here. First, I want to get to this tweet from Phil Holloway. Make sure if y'all haven't subscribed to his YouTube channel, you do that over on Inside the Law with Phil Holloway. He does a great job explaining things from the legal side and as an attorney himself and helping you understand what things mean when it comes to breaking down certain lawsuits and what's going on, even in the political world. So what does Phil say about what happened to Fani Willis? He says, the Fulton County Board of Commissioners opted against allocating a substantial monetary increase for the district attorney's office. Wow. The Board of Commissioners said, let's go, Fani.
These niggas lacking.
It seems Fani Willis's chickens have come to roost. Maybe she shouldn't have embarrassed the county on the world stage by wasting taxpayers' dollars. And we're going to get into this article in a second by Capital B. Also, of course, you know Ashley Merchant's going to speak on it because she has gotten several wins when it comes to the way she's handled Fani Willis and what she's been doing here in Fulton County. She says, if someone asked me for money and refused to let me look at how it was spent, the auditor, and told me that I was above the law and I didn't have to follow their silly rules, she said she is a constitutional officer and can spend what is budgeted however she wants on whoever she wants. I would be a little skeptical of giving her more money. Proud of the Board of Commissioners for standing strong and spending it on jail improvements. Fani Willis has had 4 years to spend wisely and help those who are jailed in Fulton County. She hasn't exactly done a stellar job, has she? And somehow, here in Fulton County, we got to take accountability. We put her back in. Hurt my feelings, man. But we still got some work to do. We're gonna keep going. All right. So let's actually get into this article by Capital B and see what they're talking about, what Fani Willis was looking for, and maybe some of the reasons why it was rejected, as Ashley Merchant alluded to. Fulton County denies Fani Willis more funding in the 2025 budget. The budget for Fulton County's Justice and Safety Departments has remained a divisive issue among the commissioners. What did they say? The Fulton County Board of Commissioners opted against allocating a substantial monetary increase for the Fulton County's District Attorney's Office when finalizing its 2025 fiscal year budget on Wednesday, perhaps bringing a months-long standoff with DA Fani Willis into its next phase. as she mentioned before, Fani said if she doesn't get the money that she needs, she's going to sue. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes. The board allocated $39.3 million of its nearly $1 billion budget to the DA's office, a figure that Fani Willis has insisted will not allow her to properly staff carrying out its duties. All right. The adopted budget also fails to provide additional funding requested by other justice and safety partners like the magistrate courts and solicitors and the Solicitor General. This is something we went over as well. Fani Willis and the DA's office got more money than the magistrate courts did, which makes no sense. And which would obviously kind of show maybe why we're in the situation we're in. If you have more money going to the people who are indicting and in a sense bringing these charges against folks, putting them in jail, and then you're going to have a funnel effect to where you get to the magistrate's court and they don't have the funding that they need and they don't have the staffing that they need to process all of these indictments to get people through the system. That's why we saw Fulton County, the average stay time in the Fulton County jail system. What was it? I think it was around 360 days. It was somewhere between 280 and 360 days. Don't quote me on that because I can't remember the exact number, but it was close to a year that you're going to sit in the Fulton County jail system, which is crazy. The adopted budget also fails to provide additional funding, as we just mentioned, for the magistrate courts, right? Capital B Atlanta reported earlier this month that Willis sent a letter in response to a proposed budget to each of the county commissioners in December, warning that she would pursue legal action against the board if her office's funding is not adequately increased. Willis and other officials fear that insufficient funding to the Justice Department could cause setbacks in preventing crime and violence, keeping courts operating efficiently, and managing the population at the Fulton County Jail, the troubled facility that disproportionately houses Black detainees. It's Atlanta. It's not a surprise there. Without adequate funding to properly serve the citizens of this county, we have to explore legal remedies, which include filing a lawsuit against the Board of Commissioners to seek a budget consistent with the number and nature of the cases this office handles. Fani Willis wrote in a letter to the commissioners dated December 11. Hear me clearly. If you enact the proposed budget, people will die. Here's the problem, and the biggest problem I see with this. A woman who has not only been accused of, but has somewhat been proven that she mishandled and misappropriated funds, as Ashley Merchant said, is now asking for more money. Not only is she asking for more money, but she's saying, hey, Board of Commissioners, you guys aren't doing your job. I know. Maybe I didn't do my job. Maybe I paid my boyfriend a little bit too much money, but that's beside the point. You guys need to give me more money so I can do my job properly. Well, Fani, you haven't been doing your job and managing the money properly, which was clearly seen on the stand by anybody who was watching those proceedings. So that's going to be the tough part about this for her to win, because she already had an opportunity and she messed it up bad. The district attorney's office did not respond to a request for comment at press time. No surprise there. 5 of the 7 commissioners voted in favor of the budget proposed on Wednesday. The two holdouts, District 3 Commissioner Dana Barrett, and District 5 Commissioner Marvin Arrington Jr. both advocated for a larger budget that would have provided more funding to the county's justice and safety departments, including Willis's office. How much, we probably won't know, right? Spending on the county's justice departments has been at the forefront of budget talks due to the last year's sunsetting of the Project Orca. We went through Project Orca. I'm not going to get into the details about it. I'll pin the video in the description so y'all can go back and watch that. The federally funded program that had been subsidizing their budgets since 2021. In November's U.S. Department of Justice report on the inhumane conditions at the Fulton County Jail. And part of Project Orca was actually providing staff to the DA's office. So the DA's office, they needed more staffing. Project Orca, one of the things that it provided was some volunteers, some people who would work there. And those positions were completely eliminated, and the funding for that was eliminated as well. So Fani Willis is saying that it hurt the DA's office when that happened. Project Orca successfully resolved the massive case backlog in the Fulton County court system that was due in large part to COVID-19 pandemic-related court shutdowns. The program enabled justice and safety departments to hire 528 employees, including the 133 in the district attorney's office. By October 2024, just before the project came to an end, the district attorney's office had retained 55 Orca hires as full-time employees. So they lost over half, almost a third of the people that they had hired on. While Orca was always intended to be temporary, several heads of the county's justice department have insisted that the supplemented budget should become the baseline so that they can operate efficiently. By eliminating the Orca grant, the county is jeopardizing the significant progress we made in reducing violent crime, which ultimately puts the safety of our communities at risk, Willis said in a statement sent to Capital B Atlanta in October, which that statement isn't necessarily true. We've went to that. We've talked about that. We'll keep it moving. Like Willis, Cassandra Kirk, the county's chief magistrate court judge, has been requesting additional funding for months, which I agree with. She says she requires more support staff so her judges aren't bogged down with clerical work. Fulton County's nearly $989.8 million budget lays out spending for everything from the sheriff and the courts to senior citizen services and local libraries. This year's property tax or millagate rate, millagage, I can never say that word right, rate, the county's primary source of revenue, will not be set until the summer. The approved budget assumes no tax increase. So Fani Willis is going to be in the tough place, allegedly. She claims that her next step is going to be to file a lawsuit. I don't think that's going to happen. Y'all have to let me know what you think in the comments and in the chat. If she files a lawsuit with everything she has going on right now, how do you think it's going to go? Yeah, this is going to be a tough one. Shout out to everyone who just stopped by too, and everyone who liked the video. We'll get into our next topic in a second. Twelvyy is supposed to take the stand today for those of y'all who are asking as well. Michi said, you asking for money so you can misappropriate more money? This woman is bold. Nobody is paying for your boys' toys anymore, Fani. Yeah, and she was emboldened because she just got reelected and put back into office for 4 more years. So of course she's going to keep pushing the envelope. She probably feels like she's not going anywhere. Speaking of Michi, shout out to Michi, just gifted 5 memberships. Oh my gosh. If you got a membership from Michi, please make sure you say thank you. I appreciate you, Michi. Again, always showing up, always showing so much love and support, and giving y'all an opportunity to get access to the behind the scenes and exclusive content that we have available for the members. You also get early access to any video that we drop here on the Classy Beats YouTube channel. So make sure y'all go over to the members section and check that out. Also, we've got Shy Gal became a new member. Welcome to the gold side. Shout out to Shy Gal. She just came over here a couple weeks ago, and it looks like she's going to hang on for a minute. So glad to have you over here, Shy Gal. And I'm glad you found the community as well. All right, we've got more Fani Willis news. I told y'all this was going to be the Fani Willis smoke show. So hopefully y'all are ready for it. Connie says, I'm sorry, but the fact they get to $900 million a year is insane. Yeah, and you could look up and actually see where everything went, which is interesting in itself. But as we know, a lot of those millions, well, hundreds of thousands of dollars went to Nathan Wade in the past budget. Think about that for a second. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. We're not talking about 1,000. We're not talking about 10,000. Hundreds of thousands of dollars went to one guy. And now she's asking for more money. It's crazy. Hold on. Let me see. Let me double check and make sure I didn't miss anybody. Yeah, $900 million is definitely a lot. All right, I got to change up this headline because we've got more Fani Willis news, y'all. It just keeps getting better and better for Fani Willis. So let me do this. All right, here we go. So I want to do a little bit of a rewind for you before we get into talking about what's going on with this new investigation that's going to happen to Fani Willis. So as we know, Fani Willis has been going back and forth with Ashley Merchant. She doesn't want to reveal certain information and certain conversations she had with a certain someone. We'll get into that in a second. Anyway, so Ashley Merchant, she was fighting. She wanted certain emails revealed. And then we also had the Judicial Watch. They were fighting to have information released that already should have been released by Fani Willis's office, according to the Freedom of Information Act. Fani was fighting it. And Judicial Watch had to go through the entire legal process just to get something that they were legally allowed to have. Again, nobody's surprised about that. So moving forward now, Judicial Watch, they were awarded $21,578 in fees and costs in the open records lawsuit. So basically what I just mentioned. Now, that interesting thing about that is I previously thought this was going to be paid by Fani Willis. No. Guess who's going to pay that? Me. All the Fulton County residents are going to pay this $21,000 in to Judicial Watch for them not being able to get some open records, which is unfortunate. So now we move forward. We've got this statement from Judicial Watch when they're talking about what's happening with Fani Willis and a lot of these other lawsuits moving forward. So check this out.
Fani Willis is one of the top abusers of President Trump and many other innocent Americans down there in Fulton County. Has she and her colleagues there, as I say, in league with, because it's been confirmed, by the way, she does have documents showing collusion with Nancy Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi's January 6th committee, to get Trump and who knows who else.
Crazy.
It's been confirmed as a result of our lawsuit. So she's one of the top abusers of the First Amendment in that regard, because it's a retaliation for exercising your First Amendment and other civil rights.
Yep, and we're going to get into an article here from Law and Crime in a second, but he also says that Fani Willis, she's scared right now, because one of the things that Judicial Watch is asking for moving forward is that a special master be assigned to cover, we'll say, this transfer of information and everything that's going to go on between Fani Willis and all the documents that she's allowed or supposed to release. So check this out from Judicial Watch.
Of course, we still, despite getting this $22,000 nearly from the court or through this court order, we still want the documents they're withholding. And we've asked the court for a special master, which would be a special court, someone with authority under the court to monitor and basically manage the search for records. We've asked the court to look at the documents that have been withheld as well, to see if the withholdings they're citing or the exemptions they're citing as justification for withholding the records are sufficient and warranted, and whether we should get the records or not. I mean, our goal in the end, this isn't about the money. This is about getting the records. Of course,
Now, when Fani Willis found this out, what do y'all think she said? Do you think Fani said, hey, you know what? I didn't do anything wrong. I've been walking a straight line this whole time.
Stop the cap.
Go ahead. You want to bring in a special master? Go ahead. You know what? Get somebody from Trump's office to investigate this. I don't care. I'm Fani Willis. I've been doing my job. That's not what she said. Check this out. This is an article by Law and Crime, and shout out to Law and Crime. What do they say? Fani Willis says this is, quote, incredibly intrusive. What? Fani Willis pleads with the court not to appoint a special master for repeatedly violating open records law over the January 6th committee documents. Here we're going to get into it. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis recently asked a court in Georgia not to appoint a special master in her response to her office's repeated violations of the Peach State's open record laws. As Law and Crime previously reported, those violations occurred when the prosecutor's office, in response to open records requests, denied having any documents showing any communication with special counsel Jack Smith or members of the since defunct House Select Committee investigating the January 6th attack on the Capitol. Late last year, in response to a lawsuit filed by conservative government watchdog group Judicial Watch, Fulton County Superior Court Judge Robert McBurney ordered the district attorney's office to provide the requested documents and or explain its continued absence, leaving open the possibility of attorney's fees. And they actually, Fani Willis and the DA's office, changed their story so many times during these proceedings. It's ridiculous that they're getting away with this. After the prosecutor was found in default, Judicial Watch filed a separate motion asking the court to appoint a special master to scour the agency's files for the documents, or in the alternative to conduct an in-camera inspection of the documents in question. Earlier this month, the judge assessed an award of, we know, the $21,000 in attorney's fees and the cost for the plaintiffs due on January 17th. Willis filed her office's response to the special master request the same day. Now, the embattled DA says she and her office are in compliance with the court's December 2024 order and argue that Judicial Watch is simply asking the court for too much too soon. Fani Willis says she wants y'all to stay up out of her business. Plaintiff's request for in-camera inspection of the records that are attorney-client privilege and attorney work product is premature without the opportunity to first have an evidentiary hearing, and there is no provision for in-camera review of documents withheld due to the pending investigation or prosecution of criminal or unlawful activity, the motion argues. Which is a wild statement on their part. Willis also says the law does not allow the relief being requested. The appointment of a special master in an open records case is not provided for by statute, unprecedented under the law, and overly intrusive, the motion continues. Again, she doesn't want them all up in her business. In the court's order finding Willis in default, Fulton County Superior Court Judge Robert McBurney ordered the DA's office to provide an explanation for any documents they continued to withhold. And we even saw this in the Y&W Melly case. They were looking for a search warrant. The defense said, we need to see the search warrant so our client can decide if he wants to keep Raven Liberty on as counsel. And the state said, no, we're not giving it to you. We don't want to do it. It might be a part of an investigation. It's going to be an issue. Judge Fiend said, you need to give it to them. The state came back and said, no, we're not going to do it. Okay, judge said, that's fine. I'm going to order you to do it. And then the defense is going to file a motion. They're going to say, we want this to be provided. And the judge granted their motion. So now they have to do what the judge says. It's the same thing with Fani Willis. In regards to the document related to the since resigned special counsel, Willis said she submitted a letter stating that there are no responsive documents in regard to the January 6th committee documents. Willis said they were being held because they are exempt pursuant to a section of Georgia law. Plaintiff's motion must be denied, the motion argues. Judicial Watch, for their part, has expressed a certain level of doubt about the searches conducted by the Fulton County DA's office. The group's motion filed on December 17, 2024, says that Willis's response to McBurney's makes no showing that the search was diligent. And they lied initially about the information being there in the first place. Based on her previous searches in this matter, it probably was not diligent, the motion reads. I agree. Likewise, she provided no list or even a general description regarding any responsive records she had elected to withhold. Without a list or description, it is impossible to evaluate what, if any, exemptions or exceptions are applicable, as she now contends. Judicial Watch notes that Willis admittedly conducted at least 3 searches before finding any responsive records not already supplied by the watchdog group itself in the litigation, aiming to raise questions about the basic competency of those working in Fulton County's district attorney's office. And we even saw it when Ashley Merchants had a couple of people from the district attorney's office on the stand. They were running around like crazy, just trying to say that they didn't need to provide certain pieces of information. Such competency issues, the group says, means a special master is needed. They might be right. The foregoing gives rise to grave suspicion that all responsive records have not been found. The court should appoint a special master to supervise and monitor the record searches. The special master should have authority to audit the searches. Oh gosh, that's going to be bad. And conduct searches herself. She also should have the authority to hire such consultants and experts as may be needed to execute her commission. The special master should make a recommendation to the court as to how her fees and expenses should be allocated among the parties, taking into consideration whether she finds responsive records that Willis should have found but did not. And it's funny, even about the some of the emails and information they were looking for. At first, Fani Willis said, "Oh, we don't have it," and then all of a sudden they said, "Oh, you know what? We might actually have something here." In her response, Willis argues the Open Records Act, the law she violated, does not entertain the possibility of a special master being appointed in order to remedy violations. Defendant vigorously objects to the appointment of a special master in the Open Records lawsuit because it is not a form of relief provided under the Open Records Act. It is unprecedented. Well, so is this case. And it is incredibly intrusive. The Willis motion continues. The plaintiff points to no authority that substantiates appointing a special master in Open Records case is a proper form of relief by the court or under the Open Records Act. Well, if you don't do your job, Fani, you got to get somebody else to do it for you. It's not that complicated. The district attorney goes on to say the appointment of such a special master would itself violate the law and would impair the integrity of the pending and open criminal case. Now, the criminal case she's talking about is the case that's most likely going to be thrown out, the case against Donald Trump, right? So this is all going to be a mess. And if that happens, then I want to see what their argument's going to be. Y'all have to let me know what you think in the comments and in the chat. How is this going to go moving forward? And should Fani Willis be worried? Because if you get a special master and they start looking through some of the documents there, they might see some things that won't be good for Fani Willis in the DA's office. Let me know what y'all think. And we've got, oh, shout out to everyone who liked the video too. I appreciate it. Amy said Nathan Wade had that Open Fani Act. Oh, Lord. Dang, Amy. Now, that's a wild statement. If y'all could, I know I asked this already, but I'm going to keep asking until those likes look good. All 1,200 of y'all, could you take 2 seconds and like the video? It's free and it helps the channel out. If y'all could please do that, I would appreciate it. Yeah, Nathan Wade was, oh man, I'm gonna leave that one alone. Blissful comment says, not lying. I don't believe Fulton County would lie. Yeah. Sean P is in the building. Good morning, man. Best morning daytime show on YouTube. Appreciate that, man. Free Yak Gotti. Fani, release Yak Gotti. You might be graced with some better karma in your life. Nope. Not likely, but you can hope. Yeah, and I think is Yak Gotti's hearing is tomorrow. And actually, let me see. Speaking of Yak Gotti, I think Kat posted a schedule of what's supposed to go down. So I believe Yak Gotti's hearing is tomorrow morning. From what I understand, though, there's not going to be any cameras in there. So y'all know we'll be here and reporting on it as the information comes in. But yeah, we've got tomorrow on Friday, Diamante Kendrick has a probation revocation hearing at 9:30 in front of Judge Lethbridge. Also tomorrow, we've got the pre-trial conference for the second part of this YSL trial, which is Christian Eppinger. It's going to be interesting. So that's all happening tomorrow. So thank you for mentioning that, Michi, and I'll make sure I keep you guys updated on what's going on with that too. And Amy just posted it in the chat as well. Amy, there's no Rule 22 in place for that, unfortunately. Yeah. Because Law and Crime was going to try to get into the courtroom, and they said they're not allowing cameras in. So we'll just have to report on it. But yep, that's taking place tomorrow morning. Y'all know we will be talking about it. Free Yak Gotti, he needs to jump on the lawsuit with SB. I can't imagine he will. I mean, especially since the poor man got stabbed the day before he was released. Crazy. Yeah, somebody said, why are they mad at Fani? Why are people mad at Fani? They voted her in again. It's true. I mean, you can't really be mad, but not all of us voted her in. Let me see. Melody says it's not intrusive. They're publicly funded and those are public records. Basically, it's our money and they're using it against the public. The audacity. And she should have just let them have the information in the first place, or we wouldn't even be in this situation. She made things way more difficult than they had to be, of course, which is what Fani does. And now she's in the situation that she's in. So I agree 1000%. If Courtney Kramer would have won, she said she would have not pressed charges on all YSL members, and y'all still voted for Fani. Yeah, shame on Fulton County, man. I think most people, I can't imagine that most people that were aware of what was going on in the DA's office and during this trial in general and are in Fulton County voted for Fani Willis. I know I didn't. I know, well, I'm not going to say who other people voted for, but there's other people in the chat in Fulton County who are here in Fulton County who did not vote for Fani. So, all right, it is what it is. Again, I mentioned this before when Fani was running, unless there's some crazy situation that happens. If you're in Atlanta, you're a Democrat, you're a black female, and you're in office and you're holding that office, she's not going anywhere. And Fani Willis has done some good things for the community. So I'm not saying that everything she does is bad. I'm saying the bad things that she's done are bad. So two things can be true, I believe. And speaking of Fani Willis, we're not done with her. We are not done at all. And we're going to get into it here in a second. So again, Judicial Watch is not playing around when it comes to Fani Willis. So now after, let me make sure I've got this in here. I think we're good. All right, we're good. So, and good morning. Shout out to Pocket Bully in here. Good morning. Good morning to all of y'all. I see y'all in the building. So even after all of that mess that Fani Willis went through, arguing, saying that she doesn't want a special master, saying that she needs more money, now she's got this she has to deal with. Check this out from Judicial Watch in here. The court has officially this week ordered the Justice Department to provide information on special counsel Jack Smith's communication with DA Fani Willis. And this is what Fani did not want. Oh man, here we go. Judicial Watch announced today that a federal court ordered the Department of Justice to provide information on communications between special counsel Jack Smith and the district attorney Fani Willis regarding the prosecution of then former President Trump. The Justice Department has continued to object to providing any information even after the prosecutions against Trump were shut down. Judge Dabney of the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia ruled that because the cases against Trump were closed, the Justice Department's arguments against disclosure were no longer applicable. Since the Department of Justice filed its motion for summary judgment and supporting declaration in March 2024, the special counsel's criminal enforcement actions have been terminated. The cases are closed, not pending or contemplated, and therefore are not proceedings with which disclosure may interfere, which is what we just talked about in the video before this. Thus, the agency's sole justification for invoking the Glomar doctrine, which I don't know what it is, under exemption 7A is no longer applicable. Basically, Fani, we got to find out what went on. Accordingly, the court will deny the Department of Justice's motion for summary judgment and grant the plaintiff's cross motion. The Department of Justice is directed to process the plaintiff's FOIA request and Freedom of Information Act and either disclose any responsive records or establish both that their contents are exempt from disclosure and that such exemption has not also been waived. So Fani's on the clock now. We're going to find out when she actually has to produce all of this. Judicial Watch sued in October of 2023, as we know, because Fani Willis wouldn't provide that, and they won the lawsuit and $21,000. All right, so they've got to pay the attorney fees. In February 2024, the U.S. Department of Justice asked the federal court to allow the agency to keep secret the names of top staffers working in the special counsel Jack Smith's office that is targeting former President Donald Trump and other Americans. Well, then former President Donald Trump, right? Before his appointment to investigate and prosecute Trump, special counsel Jack Smith previously was at the center of several controversial issues, the IRS scandal among them. In 2014, a Judicial Watch investigation and the top IRS officials had been in communication with Jack Smith's then public integrity section about a plan to launch criminal investigations into conservative tax exempt groups. And going to what was going on with Jack Smith and why Judicial Watch wants to get this information in the first place, because as we mentioned before, it's looking like there was a lot of collusion that was going on behind the scenes with Fani Willis, with even the mayor of Atlanta. You've got them having a meeting with allegedly Nancy Pelosi, and which we know they had a meeting with Kamala Harris at the White House before this indictment came out. So this whole thing is messy, messy, messy. In January 2024, Judicial Watch filed a lawsuit against Fulton County, Georgia, for the records regarding the hiring of Nathan Wade as a special prosecutor by District Attorney Fani Willis. Wade was hired to pursue unprecedented criminal investigations and prosecutions against former President Trump and others over the 2020 election disputes. Through the New York Freedom of Information Law, in July 2023, Judicial Watch received the engagement letter showing New York County District Attorney Alvin L. Bragg paid $900 per hour for partners and $500 per hour for associates to the Gibson, Dunn, and Crutcher law firm for the purpose of suing Representative Jim Jordan, Republican in Ohio, in an effort to shut down the House Judiciary Committee's oversight investigation into Bragg's unprecedented indictment of the then former President Trump. Wow. And then they have so they wrote a book. That's dope. In his new book, Rights and Freedoms in Peril, Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton details a long chain of abuses officials and politicians have made against the American people and calls readers to battle for the souls of survivors of America. All right, we've got one more. And here's where everything went down. Shout out to Newsweek. They say Fani Willis and Jack Smith communication to be released. And they're going to talk about what we're actually going to find in here, too. They did a great job with this article. So y'all check it out. The Department of Justice, the DOJ, has been ordered to provide information on communication between former special counsel, Jack Smith and Fulton County's District Attorney Fani Willis about the prosecution of Donald Trump. The January 28th ruling is the latest development in a lawsuit against the Department of Justice filed by Judicial Watch in 2023. Why it matters. Here we go. Willis led an investigation into allegations that Trump attempted to overturn the 2020 presidential election results in Georgia after losing the state to Joe Biden. The inquiry resulted in indictments against Trump and 18 alleged co-conspirators on charges of racketeering, and other crimes. Y'all know Fani loves RICO, right? Also, Smith was appointed to oversee 2 criminal investigations into Trump. One focused on Trump's role in the January 6, 2021 riot at the Capitol, called the January 6th event. And another looked into alleged mishandling of classified documents after leaving the White House. Both investigations resulted in indictments, but the cases were later dismissed. And there's the lovely couple right there. It's Jack Smith on the right. What to know? Judicial Watch filed a lawsuit after the Department of Justice allegedly failed to comply with the Freedom of Information Act request. The conservative activists group asked for the records related to the Fulton County District Attorney's Office requesting or receiving federal funds or other federal assistance related to the investigation of Trump and other alleged co-conspirators. The Department of Justice, or the DOJ, did not confirm or deny the existence of the records and said their release would interfere with enforcement proceedings. The department has not changed its position, even though the cases against Trump have been closed. And then we saw a ruling, which we just read about, that said, it doesn't matter. It's going to happen. Y'all have to release it. But Judge Dabney of the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia ruled that since the cases have been closed, the Department of Justice's arguments no longer applied. All right. And we don't have to go into the Freedom of Information Act. We're good there. How many federal cases have there been against Donald Trump? This is interesting. Trump has been criminally indicted twice at the federal level and twice at the state level. In addition to the cases led by Willis and Smith, Trump was indicted in New York on state charges. In May of 2024, Trump was convicted on 34 counts of falsifying business records. This is wild, man. The case centered on hush money payments Trump made to former adult film actor Stormy Daniels in the lead up to the 2016 presidential election. Daniels alleged she had a 2006 encounter with Trump, a claim he denied along with all charges. Trump received an unconditional discharge in January, meaning he would not face fines, prison time, or other penalties. What are people saying? Well, Judicial Watch in a statement said President Trump truly needs to overhaul the Justice Department from top to bottom, which he's currently doing. It is a scandal that federal court had to order the Justice Department to admit the truth that their objections to producing records about collusion with Fani Willis had no basis in reality, which is, again, why wouldn't they just give up the records? There has to be something else there. If you're not just going to say, yeah, take the records, I'm not worried about it. Or if you're going to continue to fight when you know these cases have been closed, make it make sense. What happens next? The Department of Justice has directed to process Judicial Watch's Freedom of Information request. The parties were also ordered to meet on or before February 21st and report the discussion status to the court. What do y'all think about that? Fani Willis, I've said this over and over and over and over and over. Joe Biden needed to pardon this lady. He needed to pardon a lot of people because Fani Willis is looking like she's getting set up to take the fall for all of this because her name keeps being brought up. She was the one who was having this communication back and forth. She was almost seemingly the pawn that was used in this entire situation when it came to bringing up these now dismissed accusations or dismissed indictments against Donald Trump. Let me know what y'all think in the comment in the chat. Time might be running out for Fani Willis. We'll have to wait and see. Woo! I almost want to feel bad for Fani Willis. But I think that's what happens when you get greedy. You know, you want the power. You want to be the one that brings down that orange bad man. And now it looks like she's getting set up to take the fall for this. I keep saying it, and I'm going to keep saying it until this is all decided. I think Fani is going to be the one that takes the heat for all of this. Fannie Mae is a little bitch. She says, Unita Sim says, glad she going through this. I feel sorry for Fulton County taxpayers. Don't feel sorry for us. We did this to ourselves. Not once, but twice. So I take responsibility and say that maybe I didn't do enough with getting the information out there about what's going on in Fulton County. Obviously, we are adults here who vote, and they should do their research on what's going on, but it's sad to see. Amy said, Fani, watch Fani catch her own Rico. It's loading. It's on the way. We're all filing our taxes right now like, oh, here we go again, guys. Go ahead and burn it. Oh, man. Melody, are you in Fulton County? Are you in Fulton County, Melody? Why? Ducky Dexter, what did I say? She definitely seemed like the fall guy. Yep, but Jack Smith didn't get a pardon either. Yeah, but it's Jack Smith. Jack Smith could get some heat for this too. I highly doubt it. And I think it may come down to who initiated this contact and what were the conversations. His only saving grace is that he dropped the case. She keeps going. Fani is, oh man. Oh, y'all say, oh, because I said I almost feel bad for her. Can't be sad for someone abusing power. No, I don't really feel bad for her at all. Yeah, because you know Fani's watching right now. She sees all the videos. I'm pretty sure if you type in Fani Willis on YouTube, one of my videos pops up. So Fani Willis knows what we're doing over here. She knows I'm not happy. She knows I voted for Courtney Kramer and I wanted to get her out of there. That's okay. Hey, Fani, you might want to see if Brian Steele or Keith Adams is available. Oh, trouble is coming your way. Michi, that would be a tough one. What do y'all think, man? If y'all found out, let's say tomorrow, Fani Willis, I don't know, can she step down? I don't know how it works with the DA. Say Fani Willis steps down and then an indictment comes out about her whole involvement in this collusion when it comes to indicting Trump. And y'all see Brian Steele and Keith Adams are representing Fani Willis. What would you say? What would you do? Oh man, that would be a mess. Oh, and shout out to the amazing Nick is in here. Shout out to Nick. Nick Staros in the building. If y'all haven't checked out his YouTube channel, please make sure you do that. He does a way better job of covering this type of stuff than I do. Shout out to Nick. He says, hey, yo, good that you cover this Classy Beats. I lost my voice. Oh, and can't record. Dang, Nick. I'm sorry to hear that, man. Y'all go make sure you subscribe to Nick's channel. Check him out when he gets his voice back. I know he's going to be overjoyed to cover this news about Fani Willis, because I know we're here in Fulton County and we're sick of it. Well, I speak for a majority of us. We'll say 30% right now, according to the polls, right? And I think it would be even more if they knew what was going on here in Fulton County. But man, Fani, oh gosh, that would be tough. Nick said, I'm going to have words about this one once my voice is back. I'll be there to check it out, Nick. And again, y'all make sure you go subscribe to Nick's channel, man. Appreciate you being here. Fani's it's a mess. All right, we are counting down, and I feel like I should have a countdown timer or something. We are about 40 minutes away from getting into today's court proceedings when it comes to the ASAP Rocky trial. But again, y'all, because we've been covering this ASAP Rocky trial, I've had so many different reports that I haven't been able to report on because I don't want to overwhelm the algorithm. I don't want to post 5, 6, 7 videos a day on YouTube. So I'm glad I'm able to get these in there because we reviewed all of the court from yesterday afternoon. But we've got another one in here. another insane story. And if y'all haven't heard about this, this is it. This is going to be a good one. And I should not laugh because Diddy, man, he's getting hit with another lawsuit. Oh, man. We're going to talk about it. And this is somewhat breaking news. It happened in the last 24 hours. If y'all haven't heard about this new lawsuit against Diddy, well, you're in for, I'm not going to say what the normal phrase is, but this is going to be interesting. So recently, this is breaking news. Diddy is facing another lawsuit, and this lawsuit is absolutely insane. Shout out to Document Tings over on X. They give a little bit of summary about what's going on, and then we're actually going to get into the official claim. Let's see what's happening here. Breaking news, they say. Sean Diddy Combs has yet another lawsuit. Court documents obtained by Document Tings reveals plaintiff was recognized as one of the premier entertainers in Las Vegas adult entertainment scene in or around 2007. Sean Diddy Combs hired the plaintiff for his services numerous times. And yes, you heard it right. It said his. Hey, yo. Plaintiff commenced his performance, which consisted of dancing and stripping. When the performance concluded, Combs paid the plaintiff $1,500. On these additional engagements through plaintiff's agencies, Combs offered the plaintiff beverages, which plaintiff consumed. Combs also asked the plaintiff to apply baby oil. Hey, yo. We're going to make it through, y'all. To the plaintiff's skin during the performances, which the plaintiff did. After applying the baby oil, plaintiff became unusually sleepy, disoriented, confused, exhausted, drowsy, weak, confused, sluggish, numb, and alarmed by the sensation of being trapped in his own body. Y'all know it's alleged that this baby oil actually contained drugs in them, and when applied, seeps into your skin, and you know the rest, right? Oh man. The plaintiff felt a heavy sensation behind his eyes and felt that moving his body became more difficult and exhausting. While the plaintiff was in this disoriented state, Combs instructed him to perform acts that were outside the scope of the agreed upon performance and limitations set by plaintiff and his agency. Combs instructed the plaintiff to engage in acts such as, y'all can read, and if you can't read, you're not missing out on much. We're going to get into the full document here in a second. While Combs and some woman engaged in intercourse. Plaintiff left in an incapacitated state after applying the baby oil to his skin, found himself mentally and physically unable to resist or express his discomfort, leading to his unwilling compliance with Combs' demands once the intoxicating effects of the substances had subsided. Plaintiff felt a deep sense of humiliation and shame for being coerced into such acts. We're going to get into the full document here. And again, y'all, as I said, it's about to get crazy. Here we go. Yes, this does say John Doe, as I mentioned before. Y'all get ready for it. All right. We've got John Doe versus Sean Diddy Combs. The plaintiff, John Doe, by and through his attorneys, the Bloom firm, brings this action against defendants. Plaintiff alleges, upon knowledge concerning his own experience and upon information and belief as to all matters. Here's the preliminary statement. Defendant, we're going to call him Diddy, a prominent entertainment mogul, exploited his power by physically, psychologically, and sexually abusing the plaintiff more than 5 herring years? Wait, what? Man, we only got through the first line and I'm confused. So John Doe is saying that Diddy exploited him sexually, physically, and psychologically over more than 5 harrowing years. We'll keep it going. Diddy caused the plaintiff's life to spiral into a living nightmare. Plaintiff was, at all relevant times, a Las Vegas-based entertainer who aspired to become a musician. I'm going to make it through this, y'all. I'm sorry. Knowing the plaintiff desperately sought a breakthrough in the music industry, Combs enticed the plaintiff with fraudulent promises of a career in the music industry. Combs used his false promises of career advancement as weapons, trapping the plaintiff in a vortex of exploitation and fear. Combs did not follow through with these promises. Instead, Combs subjected plaintiff to relentless pattern of drugging, assaults, death threats, clandestine recording, blackmail, and psychological manipulation that far exceeded any bounds of consent or professionalism. But isn't this the business that he was in? We'll keep going. Combs dehumanized plaintiff and reduced him to a mere object for Combs' own amusement and to satisfy his own fetishes. Diddy gravely exploited the plaintiff, effectively imprisoning him and controlling him through surveillance and filming. Diddy's recordings were not just blatant invasions of the plaintiff's privacy, but he wielded them as tools of blackmail, forcing the plaintiff to continuously comply with his perverse sexual demands. Diddy covertly drugged the plaintiff to strip the plaintiff of his ability to resist his sexual demands. And he kept coming back for more for 5 years. Bad Boy Entertainment, Diddy's production company, facilitated Diddy's calculated abuse and played a significant part in Combs' ruthless scheme to exploit the plaintiff. I swear, if I see Tony Busby's name at the bottom of this complaint, I'm gonna lose it. The parties, we know who the parties are. We can skip through this. Jurisdiction and venue. Where did this happen? Jurisdiction, USA 1331. Venue is proper in this court. Okay, got it. Factual allegations. Here we go, y'all. Buckle up. Diddy hired the plaintiff to strip and dance. In or around 2000. And again, let me be clear. I'm not saying because you pick a certain profession that you should be subject to abuse. That is not what I'm saying at all. So let me make that very clear before y'all start going off in the comments about this. All right, let's chill. What you decide to do is what you decide to do. I do not believe that just because you decide to strip and dance that you should be subject to abuse. Let me just get that out. So we got a stripper here. In or around 2007, the plaintiff was recognized as one of the premier entertainers in Las Vegas adult entertainment scene. The plaintiff worked with multiple adult entertainment agencies and received his professional engagements through these agencies. As a popular and frequently sought out entertainer, the plaintiff maintained high professionalism. Both the plaintiff and the clients operated under pseudonyms, such the plaintiff did not know the identity of the person he was meeting until he arrived at the engagement and met the client. Why would you do that? In 2007, we're on the verge of the information age, and you weren't looking into what was going on in 2007? Oh my God. Both the plaintiff and his agencies clearly communicated his boundaries and limitations to his clients at the outset of his engagements. But if you wanted to give an extra tip, maybe the lines got a little bit blurry. I threw that in there. That's not actually in the official complaint. In or around 2007, the plaintiff was booked through one of his agencies to perform a strip show in a hotel room in Las Vegas. In accordance with the standard procedures, the plaintiff did not know who he was meeting until he arrived. On this occasion, the client was Diddy. When the plaintiff arrived, Diddy conducted a full body pat down. Plaintiff commenced his performance, which consisted of dancing and stripping. When the performance concluded, Combs paid the plaintiff $1,500. Okay, that's incident one. All is well. In the following months, Combs booked plaintiff for at least 2 additional engagements in Las Vegas through the plaintiff's agencies, as was the standard procedure. The client's name was not revealed ahead of time, and the plaintiff did not know he would be meeting Diddy until he arrived at the hotel room. Each time, Combs was present in the room with a different woman. On these additional engagements through the plaintiff's agencies, Diddy offered the plaintiff beverages, which the plaintiff consumed. Diddy also asked the plaintiff to apply baby oil to the plaintiff's skin during the performance. So Diddy said, hey, put this on, which the plaintiff did. After applying the baby oil, the plaintiff became unusually sleepy. I'm confused. I'm confused, man. We got to stop here and y'all let me know what's going on here. So are they saying this happened multiple times? Because they say on these additional engagements through the plaintiff's agencies, Combs offered. These are all plural. Additional engagements. Combs also asked the plaintiff. So are they saying this happened multiple times? I know I got to keep reading, but why is it phrased this way? On these additional engagements through the plaintiff's agencies, Combs, Diddy offered the plaintiff beverages, which the plaintiff consumed. Right? Diddy also asked the plaintiff to apply baby oil to the plaintiff's skin during the performances, which the plaintiff did. After applying the baby oil, the plaintiff became unusually sleepy, disoriented, confused, exhausted, drowsy, weak, confused, sluggish, numb, and alarmed by the sensation of being trapped in his body. The plaintiff felt a heavy sensation behind his eyes and felt that moving his body became more difficult and exhausting. While the plaintiff was in this disoriented state, Diddy instructed him to perform acts that were outside the scope of the agreed upon performance and limitations by the plaintiff and his agency. Combs instructed the plaintiff to engage in acts such as walking the dog while Diddy and a woman engaged in intercourse. What? Folks, we got another one. So Diddy was having intercourse with the woman, and he's told this guy, I want you to sit over there and take care of yourself. Huh?
Stop the cap.
Plaintiff left in an incapacitated state after applying the baby oil to his skin, found himself mentally and physically unable to resist or express his discomfort, leading to his unwilling compliance with Diddy's demands. Once the intoxicating effects of the substances had subsided, plaintiff felt a deep sense of humiliation and shame for being coerced into such acts. Diddy recruited the plaintiff to work for him directly by promising to launch the plaintiff's music career. On or around the third time that Combs booked the plaintiff through an agency. So what time is this? So this happened So this was the first time. He hired him in 2007 because he was popular. And the first time he arrived, he got patted down. In the following months, he booked 2 additional engagements in Las Vegas. Okay. This is super confusing. So did he put on the baby oil multiple times and this happened multiple times, or did it happen once? Because here they say in the following months, he booked at least 2 additional engagements. And then on these additional engagements, this is what happened. What? So he did it. He, and I quote, felt deep sense of humiliation and shame for being coerced. And then he went back and did it again. Fool me once, I guess. On or around the third time that Diddy booked the plaintiff through an agency, Diddy asked the plaintiff to stop working with his agencies and to work directly for Diddy instead. The plaintiff responded that he was experiencing financial difficulties, here we go, and could not afford to stop working for the agencies. The plaintiff explained that he earned his livelihood by working for his agencies as an adult entertainer, but that he hoped to become a musical artist. Of course. Listen, if you talk to Jeff Bezos, you got a business idea. If you talk to Commissioner Goodell of the NFL, you've got some ideas that can improve the NFL. If you talk to Diddy, you want to become a musical artist, right? All right, I'm going to keep reading. Upon learning the plaintiff was an aspiring musician, Combs offered to listen to the plaintiff's music and express a willingness to help him advance his music career. Combs made the statements such as, "I can make you a millionaire overnight. I could change your life in a second. You ready to party?" Diddy specified that he would give the plaintiff $1 million for each song the plaintiff wrote for him. Nice. The plaintiff was excited for what he felt like was a tremendous opportunity. Having direct connection to one of the most prominent and powerful figures in the music industry, who was known to have made ordinary people into stars, felt like an incredible stroke, of luck and a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for the plaintiff to achieve his dreams. The plaintiff hoped to impress Diddy and earn the chance to become successful in the music industry. Combs asked the plaintiff for his phone number so that Diddy could contact him directly. The plaintiff gave Diddy his phone number. Diddy fraudulently used the plaintiff's musical aspirations along with intimidation and covert drugging to obtain the plaintiff's compliance with Combs' sexual demands. So hold on a second. So this is one of the worst written claims I've seen. So he worked for Diddy. Let's just get this story straight. So he worked for Diddy. The first time was great. He did what he needed to do. He danced and it was fine. He paid him $1,500. He went on his way. Then in the following month, he booked a couple other engagements. And in both of these it's from what this sounds like, in both of these engagements, he had him put on baby oil. And one time he had one woman, the other time he had another woman. This guy was sitting in the corner. John Doe was sitting in the corner handling business while Diddy was having intercourse with the other woman. And then after all of this, on the third visit, he told Diddy that he wanted to be an artist. And Diddy's like, "Oh, well, you should just come work for me and do what you do for me." What? That's what they're saying happened here. Okay. We'll go to the next part. After the plaintiff provided Diddy with his contact information, Diddy invited him to meet on numerous occasions, offering to listen to his music. Believing that Diddy would review his work, plaintiff accepted these invitations and traveled to meet Diddy in locations including Las Vegas, New York, Los Angeles, and Miami. This is where you get into, you can't do that, man. You can't be flying people all over the place and doing this kind of stuff. Dumb. Maintaining the appearance of professional interest, Diddy purchased airline tickets and hotel accommodations for the plaintiff through his record company, Bad Boy Records. After Diddy began to arrange their meetings directly rather than through the plaintiff's agency, Diddy's behavior shifted in the absence of the agency overseeing the transaction. When the plaintiff arrived to Diddy's locations, which ranged from hotel rooms, various cities, this is so vague. When the plaintiff arrived, so like he's not omnipresent. He can't just arrive at a bunch of locations at once. So what is the timeline here? I got to give Tony Busby some credit. At least, although the timeline's wrong, they had specific dates and this happened, this and happened, this and happened. And other lawsuits and other claims that we've went over had specific dates and times. This makes no sense. When the plaintiff arrived to Combs' locations, which range from hotel rooms in various cities, Diddy's properties in various states, Diddy regularly conducted a full-body pat-down and confiscated the plaintiff's phone when he arrived. Diddy regularly had a firearm present either on his person or visible in the room. Plaintiff, aware that Diddy had been involved in the shooting and violent altercations in the past, felt deeply fearful of doing anything that could upset or anger Diddy. Diddy reinforced his fraudulent display of professional interest by setting up mobile studios and frequently playing his upcoming music releases for hours on end, showcasing his prominence in the music industry to plaintiff. At nearly every gathering, Diddy issued grandiose promises of career assistance to the plaintiff, boasting of his ability to make people millionaires and change lives overnight. Diddy even suggested that the plaintiff could become his manager and help him run Bad Boy Entertainment. At Diddy's request, the plaintiff brought recordings of his music for Diddy to listen to. However, each time, Diddy quickly shifted the conversation away from the plaintiff's music and directed the plaintiff to perform a strip show. Hey, this is how we got here, man. Do what you do. During the strip shows, there was usually a woman present with Diddy. On some occasions, other men and women were also present. Diddy typically required the plaintiff to get undressed and leave his clothes in another room. Diddy then barricaded the participants inside the room where the strip show would take place by placing furniture and other objects in front of the door. Why would he need to do that? But hey, we'll keep it going. Being physically confined in the room without his phone, false imprisonment, clothes, other belongings, along with Diddy's firearm serving as a visual reminder that he was armed, made the plaintiff feel trapped, fearful, and as though he were not free to leave. But again, the plaintiff accepted these invitations and traveled to meet Diddy locations, including Las Vegas, New York, Los Angeles, Miami. And the plaintiff arrived at Diddy's locations. Okay, we'll keep going. Diddy offered the plaintiff beverages, which the plaintiff sometimes consumed. Diddy routinely asked the plaintiff to apply baby oil to the plaintiff's skin during the strip show. Following the application of the baby oil, the plaintiff became drowsy, lethargic, weak, numb. Although the plaintiff did not connect these effects with the baby oil until years later. That's understandable. Combs frequently pushed the plaintiff to apply more baby oil, saying things like, "You're going to get a little dull. Rub some more baby oil on yourself." If the plaintiff refused to apply the baby oil, Combs became irate. On multiple occasions, Diddy squirted large amounts of baby oil onto the plaintiff's skin, coating his skin so heavily that it dripped off his body. Each time the plaintiff applied the baby oil, he was overcome with the same drowsy, extremely tired sensation. Plaintiff felt his eyes become heavy, and when he looked in the mirror, his eyes appeared droopy. Dang. The overwhelming drowsiness caused him to fall asleep for unknown periods of time. Often he lay down on the couch, alternating between sleeping and waking. Ugh, that's terrible, man. After applying the baby oil, the plaintiff became uncoordinated and confused. Plaintiff stumbled over furniture and objects and got lost when trying to find his way from the bathroom, and even once fell asleep in the bathroom. On one occasion, Diddy asked the plaintiff to record activity with the camera, but the plaintiff was unable to hold the camera straight without swaying his arm. When the plaintiff was in the drowsy and confused state, Diddy directed the plaintiff to handle his business and to engage in the contact with the female present. Y'all think this was Cassie? Let me know. Which included touching the woman on her body and engaging in intercourse with her. On some of these occasions, Diddy placed his hand on, oh God, we're not reading that on the YouTube, but yeah. We're going to scroll past that one. The plaintiff tried to communicate at the outset of the meeting that the performances were limited to stripping and dancing, and that he was not willing to engage in certain activity. Yet, if the plaintiff refused the beverages that Diddy offered, or hesitated to apply baby oil to his skin, or just said, "I'm not going to come to the meeting," Diddy became enraged, screaming to the plaintiff, throwing objects and clenching his fist as if about to strike the plaintiff. On several occasions, plaintiff found his, I don't know if I can do this. The plaintiff found his stuff involuntarily at attention, even though he was not aroused. As a guy, I could tell you that is a thing. On these occasions, plaintiff noticed that his heart was beating quickly and he felt faint. The plaintiff commented on Plaintiff commented on what he was feeling, and Diddy stated that he had put Viagra in the plaintiff's drink to make the plaintiff able to perform. Diddy produced a bag of light blue pills and showed them to the plaintiff. Diddy forced the plaintiff to consume unknown substances when the plaintiff was sitting or lying down and experiencing the aforementioned effects after applying the baby oil. Diddy frequently placed a pill in the plaintiff's mouth and watched him to ensure he swallowed it. Diddy asked the plaintiff to open his mouth and lift his tongue to ensure he had not hidden the pill. Dang. And after ingesting the pills, the physical and psychological effects that the plaintiff was experiencing intensified, such that the plaintiff could not fully control his body. Particularly, the plaintiff's sense of tiredness, confusion, and lack of coordination was compounded with the heightened sense of mellowness, calm, numbness, and indifference. He was high. During most encounters, Combs demanded that the plaintiff engage in certain activity with the woman who was present. This included touching her all over the place and engaging in intercourse. Combs often positioned his face directly between the plaintiffs and the woman to closely monitor to ensure they were doing it. Oh, wow. Oh, my gosh. I should have read this first. Often Diddy demanded the plaintiff to I don't even know how to censor this. This is tough. He asked the plaintiff to do some stuff that made the plaintiff feel deeply humiliated and degraded. On one of those occasions, the plaintiff observed that Diddy rubbed the plaintiff's stuff on the woman's body, and then Diddy licked it. I think this video is going to do well on YouTube. And we're not done. Occasionally, the plaintiff and or the woman expressed hesitation or appeared visibly uncomfortable with Diddy's demands. At any sign of hesitation or defiance, Diddy became enraged. Diddy screamed and cursed, threw objects at the plaintiff, toppled furniture, and swung his fist at the plaintiff as though to hit the plaintiff. On several occasions, when the plaintiff did not comply with Diddy's demands immediately, Diddy forcibly grabbed the plaintiff by his junk, causing him physical pain, and forced the plaintiff's stuff into the woman's stuff. On some occasions, Combs touched and did stuff to his stuff. Plaintiff encounters with Diddy lasted for extended periods of time, sometimes more than 18 hours of time. Despite the plaintiff informing Diddy that he charged a set hourly rate for stripping engagements, Diddy consistently underpaid. What? So was he working or not? Was he working or not, y'all? Plaintiff's encounters with Diddy lasted for extended periods of time, sometimes more than 18 hours at a time. Despite the plaintiff informing Diddy that he had charged a set hourly rate, this seems to be a mistake. Again, attorneys, this is hella confusing. Despite the plaintiff informing Diddy that he charged a set hourly rate for his stripping engagements, Diddy consistently underpaid the plaintiff. This seems to be a mistake here. I don't know why they would put this, because again, I don't know if this is ever going to go before a jury, but if I hear this part, I'm saying, wait a second. Were you a victim? Were you working? Is it both? You were a victim while you were working. You didn't want to work. You were going to meet him for a business, and then it turned into this, but he was still paying you. Each time Diddy invited the plaintiff to meet under the guise of listening to his music. But if that was the case, then why are we talking about him being paid? Each time Diddy invited the plaintiff to meet under the guise of listening to his music, he instead required the plaintiff to strip and engage in certain acts, subsequently paying the plaintiff a sum of money that was substantially less than the plaintiff's rate. The plaintiff often attempted to set time limits on the meetings and discuss payment, but Diddy disregarded these conversations and made comments such as, "Aren't we friends now?" Yeah, it's really confusing. On more than one occasion, after awakening, the plaintiff discovered that, I can say semen, right? That semen was, that he had been assaulted. Let's just say that. Plaintiff believed that Combs had assaulted him, and Combs was the only other male present on those occasions. On these occasions, Diddy paid the plaintiff a substantially larger sum of money. Oh, God. And I see y'all in the comments. My confusion is that he did all of these things and then he discussed payment. So I'm not justifying the fact that these things happen. My question is to y'all in the comments in the chat is, why are you going to do these things, be uncomfortable, and then be like, oh, how much we gonna pay me? So I know the difference between the two, but it seems that the plaintiff didn't. On more than one occasion after awakening, okay, we're not going through that again. Good God. On these occasions, Diddy paid the plaintiff a substantially large sum of money. Prior to each occasion, the plaintiff met Diddy. The plaintiff believed that he would be able to resist any advances or requests that would arise. But each time after applying the baby oil to his body, I gotta read this comment. This comment is insane. He didn't do them voluntarily, but he deserved to get paid for his time. Are you serious? That cannot be a serious statement. He didn't do them voluntarily, but he deserved to get paid for his time. Yo, that is the craziest comment I've ever heard. What? Prior to each occasion, the plaintiff met Diddy. The plaintiff believed that he would be able to resist any advances or requests that would arise. But each time after applying the baby oil to his body, the plaintiff found himself unable to summon the mental activity or physical strength to resist Diddy's demands. He said, hey, listen, y'all, I know. I knew it was going to happen. I knew Diddy was going to ask me. And I was just going to tell him no. I was still going to get my money, like they said in the comments. I was still going to get my money. I was going to go and do my job, even though I knew I was putting myself in a volatile situation. But I was going to resist. And when he tried to take it further, although I saw the gun, I saw how irate he got. I knew he locked me in the building. He locked me in the room a couple of times. But listen, next time, I'm going to resist. Baby oil goes on. Ah, man. Well, I tried. There's no argument for this. One time, 2 times, maybe 3 times, but multiple times. And then you're still asking to get paid. There's no argument there for me. I don't want to hear the argument. I don't want to hear it. This is willful. Diddy's wrong. The plaintiff's wrong. And he wanted to get paid for it. Yikes. So what was Diddy going to hand him $1,500 and be like, and the plaintiff's like, oh, okay, well, this applies just to the stripping. It doesn't apply to, you know, the other stuff. There's no argument here. It was not until years later that the plaintiff made the connection that Diddy used the baby oil to mentally and physically impair him, with the intention that the plaintiff submit to Diddy's demands. But he knew what was going to happen. He wanted to get his money. He was greedy, which is fine. But at some point you're not a victim. The fact that he's like, hey, how much, we still good on the 1,500? Combs recorded the plaintiff. Diddy recorded the plaintiff engaging in acts and threatened the plaintiff as a means to exercise control of the plaintiff. On one occasion, soon after Diddy began arranging their meetings directly, the plaintiff discovered a hidden camera in the room and became visibly agitated and distressed at the prospect of being recorded. Diddy confirmed that he had previously recorded the plaintiff engaging in activity, that he maintained the videotapes, and that he would release the videos and ruin the plaintiff's reputation if the plaintiff did not comply with his demands. Can't do that, Diddy. Diddy made statements such as, I can change your life in a second and make you a millionaire overnight, but I have the means and ways of taking care of things. The plaintiff understood Diddy's threat to mean that if the plaintiff angered or defied Diddy, Diddy would not only withdraw his promised support for the plaintiff's music career, but he would blackmail the plaintiff with the graphic videotapes. Can't do that. Can't do that. Can't do that. And please, y'all, don't bring your personal experience into these conversations. We're talking about the law. We're talking about this complaint, because I don't want to go into that. Over the next several years, Diddy and members of his team regularly reached out to the plaintiff to set meetings. Sometimes days or weeks elapsed between meetings, while sometimes weeks or months would elapse. Often, Diddy requested to meet the plaintiff. Diddy's request to meet the plaintiff coincided with Diddy's appearance at major events such as performances, presentations, and award shows. If the plaintiff ever declined to meet Diddy, Diddy then reached out to the plaintiff directly, threatening him, making statements such as, "I can make you disappear, and things aren't going to get better for you," and threatening to release the videotapes of the plaintiff. Deeply afraid and believing that Combs would follow through on these threats, the plaintiff submitted to Combs or Diddy's demands. Yeah, that's messed up, man. In addition to hiring the plaintiff to perform for him, Diddy also insisted that the plaintiff send Diddy explicit photos of himself. Afraid of the potential consequences of refusing, plaintiff complied. In or around 2010, after Diddy instilling fear in the plaintiff, misleading the plaintiff, and manipulating him with promises that never materialized, it finally became clear to the plaintiff that Diddy had no intention of supporting the plaintiff's career. At this point, the plaintiff realized he needed to find a way to escape Diddy's manipulation and abuse. During the next 2 years, the plaintiff made repeated attempts to distance himself from Combs or Diddy. Each time they spoke on the phone, the plaintiff experienced intense anxiety with his heart racing, yet Diddy refused to accept no for an answer. Yeah. Diddy used threats to exert control, warning the plaintiff, "You're not loyal. Who are you going to tell about all of this? Don't forget, I have tapes of you." The plaintiff found himself trapped in an abusive cycle from which he felt he could not escape. Man. Plaintiff's last encounter with Diddy was around November 2012, close to the time that the plaintiff got married. Plaintiff hoped that his marriage could serve as a boundary that Diddy would respect, yet Diddy continued to call persistently for months, pressuring the plaintiff to return. Since his last encounter with Diddy, plaintiff has experienced a strong and underlying desire to come forward about Diddy's abuse, but was deterred by his fears that Diddy would follow through with his threats to release the compromising videos of the plaintiff and irreparably harm the plaintiff's reputation. Worse, the plaintiff feared that Combs or his agents or company representatives would take steps to seriously harm the plaintiff and his family, as Diddy had repeatedly emphasized he was capable and willing to do. On November 16th of 2023, Cassie filed a civil lawsuit against Diddy. As more and more individuals filed civil lawsuits against Diddy, the plaintiff gathered the courage to begin searching for legal representation, but he continued to fear the consequences of bringing his own lawsuit against Diddy. On October 3rd, 2024, an individual representing Diddy reached out to the plaintiff to insist on an in-person meeting, further intensifying the plaintiff's fear for his safety. Understandable. But Combs or Diddy's recent arrest and subsequent denials of his bail applications provided the plaintiff with a small measure of comfort and protection, conferring on him newfound confidence that Diddy would remain incarcerated and thus be less likely to release the videotapes or otherwise harm him. Wow. 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 Let me this is amazing. And that's sad, man. That's a shame that this man went through this allegedly, and that this was the way Diddy was moving, because this isn't the first story we heard like this. This whole situation is just wild. I guess we can go through the damages here too. Man, what do y'all think? What do y'all think? When people are drugged, blackmailed, and threatened with being deleted, they will do about anything to survive. John Doe. It's called a block button. They definitely shouldn't have gotten away, but Diddy was blowing up cars and dangling people over balconies. This was over 5 years. Why not stop answering these phone calls? Move on, change your number. Come on. 1,500 isn't much, but She said budget booty. Oh my God. You went back after being drugged, after finding a videotape. Boy, bye. Diddy brought this, and now he must pay. Yeah, Diddy's a monster. I don't think anybody's arguing that. Amy says, I wonder if he had an only Diddy account. Oh my God. Oh man. Let's go through the damages. And man, I had a lot of other things I wanted to get to y'all about. We might have to get to them on Friday. We might have to get to them tomorrow. Let's go through the damages and see what's going on here. Damages. During the times the plaintiff interacted with Diddy, he experienced recurring and severe health issues, particularly bouts of pneumonia that often arose shortly after these encounters. Makes sense. Plaintiff frequently coughed up blood following these incidents, and on one occasion, a near fatal bout of pneumonia required an emergency hospitalization due to an excessive bleeding into the plaintiff's lungs, which led to respiratory failure. Oh my God. The plaintiff believes that these health issues were a result of being continuously drugged by Diddy. Makes sense. Since ending contact with Diddy, the plaintiff has had no further episodes of pneumonia or coughing up blood. Can y'all imagine, man? I mean, I can't imagine a lot of things about this, but going through something like that is insane. Since his traumatic experiences with Diddy, the plaintiff has been in a consistent state of survival mode, tormented by the fears that Combs will follow through on his threats to harm him or release compromising videos. This dread, coupled with the severe emotional and psychological trauma, left the plaintiff plagued by paranoia and haunted by painful memories he tried to suppress, which bring overwhelming feelings of shame and embarrassment. This ordeal has derailed the plaintiff's music career prospects, extinguishing his passion for music, something he once loved but has not returned to since. The plaintiff has sought counseling to address the chronic depression and substance abuse issues. His home is now equipped with security cameras and remains armed with his security systems active at all times. It's probably a smart thing. These lasting precautions underscore the profound and enduring impact of Diddy's abusive, threatening actions, forcing the plaintiff to live each day in a state of vigilance and fear. As a result of these acts and conduct complained of herein, the plaintiff has suffered and will continue to suffer emotional pain, suffering, inconvenience, loss of enjoyment of life, depression, anxiety disorder, paranoia, and other I'm gonna mess that up. And other losses, entitling him to an award of compensatory and punitive damages, injunctive and declaratory relief, attorney's fees and costs, and other remedies as this court may deem appropriate. First cause of action, violation of the Victims of Gender Motivated Violence Act. And that's in New York, the admin code. Okay, y'all can read that. Oh, man. All right, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, y'all. I got to make sure we're good to go. I'm going to make sure we don't miss the start of ASAP Rocky. All right, here we go. Yeah, that's crazy that he was in the hospital. It's hard to listen to. And this was a grown man in here. Okay, so this is going against all defendants. We don't really have to go through that. Second cause of action, forced labor in violation. So the first one was Violation of victims of gender motivated violence. We know what happened there. Second cause of action, forced labor. Violation of the New York Services of Victims of Human Trafficking. The trafficking is going to be pretty easy. All right, he traveled all over the place to meet with Diddy, and then they did sexual stuff that he didn't want to do. Trafficking, same thing. Violation of California Trafficking Victims Protection Act. Man, what else we got? Battery under California law. I definitely don't want to read through that one. I think we just did. Assault under New York law. Battery under New York law. We've got sexual battery under Nevada law. Y'all see all of this? Sheesh. False imprisonment because he locked him in the room. False imprisonment again in California. So it happened in New York and California? Hold on a second. Diddy falsely imprisoned the plaintiff in New York as alleged in this complaint by suddenly and without provocation, willfully and maliciously falsely imprisoned the plaintiff against his will in Diddy's hotel room for hours at a time. And then it happened in California. Repeats and realleges each and every allegation in all of the preceding paragraphs. Diddy falsely imprisoned the plaintiff in California as alleged in this complaint by demanding under false pretenses that the plaintiff appear for hire, and subsequently willfully and maliciously falsely imprisoned and threatened the plaintiff in Combs' home or in Diddy's home and hotel rooms against the plaintiff's will for several days at a time. So he locked him up in his house and in his hotel room. Following the plaintiff's false imprisonment in Diddy's home and hotel rooms, Diddy issued a clear retaliatory threat to future injury and bodily harm to the plaintiff, underscoring the intent to both control and to silence the plaintiff as to Diddy's crimes. As a direct result of Diddy's actions, the plaintiff has sustained and will continue to sustain monetary and or economic harm, physical injury, pain and suffering, and serious psychological and emotional distress. Intentional infliction of emotional distress under California and New York law. And that's going to be assault there from Diddy because he alleged that, well, y'all heard, I'm not going to go back through that. Invasion of privacy because he recorded him. Intrusion under seclusion under New York law. What's this about? Diddy intentionally intruded upon the plaintiff's privacy by, same thing. Secretly video recording the plaintiff engaging in acts in Diddy's private residence and in hotel rooms without the plaintiff's knowledge or consent. Breach of contract. Okay. That's interesting. So this is to go into how he was getting paid. The plaintiff entered into agreements with Diddy in which the plaintiff agreed to provide entertainment services for Diddy at a specified hourly rate. In return, Diddy agreed to compensate the plaintiff for all hours worked at the agreed upon rate. The plaintiff fulfilled his obligations under the agreement by arriving at the designated location and performing the agreed upon services. All right. Thank God, man. Shout out to A$AP Rocky. We got to get out of here. All right. So we're getting Detective Flores back on the stand. My. What a time. What a time indeed. Let's go ahead and get into this A$AP Rocky coverage. I'm going to change this. We don't have 12 in here yet. It looks like we're going to finish up with Detective Flores. So we got Detective Flores in here. Let's do this. Boom. All right, y'all. Let's get into it. Oh, who is the attorney? That's a great question.
No parties, jurors, and counsel are present. Detective Flores is on the stand. Detective
Lisa
Flores,
Bloom.
you're still under oath from when you were here last time. Mr. Tapapina is questioning, and Mr. Tapapina Flores.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm just going to rewind for a few questions just to reset the context. We start talking about surveillance videos, okay?
Okay.
All right. So the sequence surveillance video overlaps video from 1616 Vista Del Mar with video and audio from 6200 Hollywood Boulevard, correct?
Correct.
All right. And you agree that 1616 Vista Del Mar video has no sound?
Correct.
But the video from 6200 Hollywood Boulevard does.
That's correct.
So you overlap the videos from each location trying to show when the shot would have occurred during the 1616 Vista Del Mar video.
Correct.
Of course, if we agree on this already, if your overlap is off even by a fraction of a second, the shot would not have occurred during the precise moment shown on the overlap 1616 Vista Del Mar video.
That's correct.
And in order to determine when the overlap in order to determine when to overlap the shot heard on the 6200 Hollywood Boulevard video with the 1616 Vista Del Mar video, you need to first figure out when that shot took place in relation to the 1616 Vista Del Mar video.
Yes.
So you use a visual benchmark for both videos, something that you could see in the surveillance videos from 1616 Vista Del Mar and 6200 Hollywood Boulevard.
Correct.
And that was the floodlight turning on.
Yes.
And you saw the floodlight turning on in camera 2, and just to be clear what camera 2 is filed. The file number, I think based on these filings, was file 18221-716 from 6200 Hollywood Boulevard at 10:17 and 26 seconds.
I believe that's correct.
Now, but even seeing that floodlight in both videos, there would have been only two ways to use that benchmark to determine when to overlap the 1616 Vista Del Mar video and the 6200 Hollywood Boulevard video at the early moment when the shot would have occurred in the 1616 Vista Del Mar video, correct?
I'm sorry, sir.
Yeah, I got to do that one again.
I didn't understand.
There's a lot of words in that question, but I'm going to try.
Yes.
Still don't know how to ask it. But even seeing that floodlight in both videos, the one we just discussed, that benchmark, that floodlight going on, right? Okay.
Is that yes? Yes, I'm sorry.
But even seeing that floodlight in both videos,
Yes,
there would
it's
have
still there.
only been two ways
Should be.
to use that benchmark, the floodlight, to determine when to overlap the 1616 Vista Del Mar video and the 6200 Hollywood Boulevard videos at the earlier moment when the shot would have occurred on the Vista Del Mar video.
I'm sorry. I think you lost me, sir.
So the two videos, again, the benchmark for that was the floodlight going on.
Correct. One of them benchmarks, yes.
What did you use to determine when to overlap the 1616 Vista Del Mar video and the 6200 Hollywood Boulevard video?
Again, it was just the totality of the videos, looking at the sequence of the floodlight, the individuals on the video running from one point of the camera to the other, just kind of looking at it in sequence over and over. Everything seemed to coincide with the sound from the 6200 camera.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's two methods, and tell me if you use one of these two. One would have been to rewind both videos simultaneously to the exact moment, right? Or, let me rephrase that, to rewind both videos, 6200, 1616, simultaneously the exact amount, 30 seconds, for example, right? Would that be one way?
That would be one way. I mean, anticipating that each individual camera system sometimes has its own time. It doesn't mean they're all automatically set at the first exact second or coincide with each other. But again, roughly looking at the light with the individual persons on those cameras watching them in sequence. It's the best way I can explain it to you.
Okay. And the other way would have been to determine how much actual time passed on the 6200 Hollywood Boulevard video between the floodlight and the shot heard, and then use that same actual amount of time to rewind the 1616 Still Mark video, right?
Yes, roughly.
Which of those two methodologies did you use?
I think we explored every option, just to try to gauge the best possible, but I can't tell you which one I believe was more accurate than the other. Again, I just looked at the totality of all these things to see that they coincided.
Well, my question really more is, which one did you use? How did you do it?
I mean, I looked at both. But I think the one that stood out more to me was, I think, the light, the floodlight.
I understand, but I'm saying, did you rewind both videos, the 6200 and the 1616, to the exact same amount?
I don't recall whether we were running to the exact second, but to the point where it coincided with the sound. And so, yes, I mean, to answer your question, it was roughly, yes, about the same time.
Dang, Peter.
There was been once.
Yo, Peter is cooking Detective Flores. God dang. That's tough, Peter. They go this way. I'm going the wrong way. There we go.
I'm going to play you a couple of clips. I'm not sure that we're ready, but when creating the sequenced surveillance video, it wasn't an exact science, right?
No.
Okay. Meaning the overlapping was done by hand, right?
Correct.
In fact, I think that 55 seconds into the sequence surveillance video, you could see that little cursor being moved by hand in the upper right corner. Did you see that?
I don't recall that.
All right, we'll show you that.
Sure.
Which exhibit is this?
Is this People's 15 or we're using our own? This is People's 15 already. We'll use this one for this. Pardon?
15 was the thumb drive.
Okay, just switch it then. Use it.
I'm just saying it's 15. That's fine. We downloaded it.
We're using 15 now? Anyway, once we get all this figured out here, at 55 seconds on that video, you're going to see hopefully, see if you could look at the upper right-hand corner and you can see that little cursor being moved by hand in the upper right-hand corner at 55 seconds.
Okay.
See that?
I can't see the cursor. Oh yeah, he's talking about right here.
We'll do it again. You see the cursor?
I do.
See those balls over there, those little round things? Did you see it moving around?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that means obviously it's being moved by hand, by someone.
That would give me an indication that it is.
Right. And as you said, you saw the floodlight turn on in camera 2, which again I'll re-identify as file 18221-716 from 6200 Hollywood Boulevard at 10:17:26.
Okay.
And you heard the first shot on camera 2, different file number, which is 18220214, at an earlier moment, which you believe to be 30 seconds earlier based on the timestamps. Correct?
Sir, I'm not sure I understand your question. The two shots at different,
No. The first shot on camera 2, which was filed, well, 18220214. That's the name of the file number that I have to identify.
okay,
You heard the first shot on camera 2 at an earlier moment, which you believe to be 30 seconds earlier based on the timestamps, right?
correct.
So you figured the first shot would have occurred 30 seconds earlier in that same surveillance video in actual time.
Sir, I'm not
Okay.
understanding your question.
Did you, well, you agree that you said you went back 30 seconds, or 30 seconds earlier is when you heard that first shot, right?
Again, in comparison to the videos, as far as what the times they reflect.
Oh.
Yes.
And that's 30 seconds earlier than what the first video, what camera 2 showed.
Correct.
All right. And you use that same exact amount of time, 30 seconds, to go back on the 1616 Beast Del Mar video.
I believe so.
You'd agree if the floodlight turned on less than 30 seconds in actual time, after the shot was heard on the 6200 Hollywood Boulevard video, that means you went back too far on the Beast Del Mar video, right? If the floodlight turned on less than 30 seconds.
Again,
All right,
so
land the plane,
it
Joe.
wasn't an exact science, but,
I'm not criticizing.
so I'm not sure about the exact seconds that you're pointing out.
Well, again, you just
Roughly, yes.
right. What I'm saying is, you just said you went back 30 seconds early based on the timestamps and what you observed.
Correct, just roughly within that period.
And right. So my question was, and again, I'm not criticizing your methodology, I'm just asking. If the floodlight turned on less than 30 seconds in actual time after the shot was heard on the 6200 Hollywood Boulevard video, that means that if you went back 30 seconds, that would be a little too far, right?
Could be, yes.
Interesting.
With regard to the 6200 Hollywood Boulevard video, you extracted 3 sets of videos from 3 different cameras maintained by the residents at that location.
Correct, that was what was provided.
And your understanding, those cameras run in actual time.
Yes, live.
But each camera, I think we've already discussed this last time we were here the other day. In fact, each camera is off from actual time by a different amount, between 2 to 3 minutes.
I'm not sure if it's that camera that was off.
Check that it mistakes the stipulation.
Dang, Peter.
What's the stipulation?
We got another stipulation.
Reread it.
Equals 35, remember?
Go over it with Mr. Siegel.
You want to
They won't approach, we do that.
Right, you need to clarify something. You're on. All right, this does not need to be on the record. Come on up.
Yes, this is live. Day 8. We up in it. And what, obviously, well, maybe not obviously, Joe is trying to argue, or the Honorable Attorney Tacopina is trying to argue, is that the shots may have not come from Rocky. Because if the video was off and they had to match up the sound to what the video showed, then there might be a problem. Which is interesting to see that he's taking this route, and maybe there's some reasonable doubt there. Y'all have to let me know what you think. Shout out to Peter, man. He is in the chat cooking Detective Flores. He says, I'm going to call Flores his mama. He's eating too many tacos. Dang. And also, speaking of Peter, shout out to Peter for the super chat earlier as well. Appreciate you, man. He said Diddy needs to be broke and rot in prison. That dude is a monster. Listen, anybody that would put their hands on somebody else Just needs to be throw him away, period. He also has been a member for 3 months, says Bondi is coming after Fani. There is a sick case in Tennessee versus Boswell you might want to check out. Ooh, okay, I'll have to look into that. And then of course Amy with the cake. Amy always got the cake over there. I appreciate you for the super sticker, Amy. All right, let's skip ahead a little bit and see if they came back from this little break here. And also thank you to everyone that's liked the video as well. 100% of you watching have liked the video. That's amazing. We love tacos. If the standard is reasonable doubt, why is this trial even going on? They can already show Relly is after money. He's saying Rocky shot him. How can you believe anything he says? Especially when he's the one that found the shell casings, right? I've never seen that in my life. Yeah, I need it, Amy. Thank you. I've never seen that. The person is like, oh yeah, here's the shell casings. I know y'all missed it. This is wild. There should be motions for dismissal or a directed verdict. I don't think there'll be a directed verdict because there is a good amount of evidence, but a motion to dismiss, I think, is incoming for sure. What do y'all think about that? You think there will be a directed verdict? I think there's too much there. Although it may have been acquired in a weird way. Yeah. Let me see what else we're saying. Okay, they're still not back yet, y'all. And I actually have this lawsuit I've been, yeah. Nosy Rosie says the judge won't do it. All right, I gotta ask y'all in the chat then. Will there be a verdict? Let me see what y'all think. Excuse me. Yeah, I agree. The fact that they have the shell casings in there by the man has a civil lawsuit against the defendant is wild. It's insane. Can you imagine if he didn't have the $550,000 to get out on bond? He'd be sitting in jail. He'd be sitting in jail right now. If this weren't California, I think this would be one of those very rare cases where the judge grants. Yeah, I don't see it here. JOA, I don't see it either, Laura. There's too much there. You've got the video. You've got them fighting back and forth. You clearly see A$AP Rocky pulling out what appears to be a gun. You can't, there's too much evidence there. You have to leave it up to the jury, and the jury has to decide, as actually Laura said at some point before. Is it a case of we see what went on, but we disagree with the law? This man, he felt like he was endangered because of the threats that Relly made against him previously, and we don't think he should be locked up for that. Or does it go the other way and they say, nope, he broke the law, he brandished a weapon, licensed owner or not? It's tough. You never know with the jury. Thank you for subscribing, Jana.
Okay, let's just do this. Let's just play these a few videos for you, okay?
Okay.
The first video, and this is again, I want to show you about the timing. Is camera 1, which is file 18220-237. You hear the first shot at 10:15:53. Tell me if you agree with that. Go ahead.
There's the first one. Second one.
Okay.
Thank you,
That's
Peter.
All right, go ahead. That's it. So you heard the first shot on that camera at 10:15:53.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I'm going to play camera 2, which I'm going to identify.
Rewind it. I don't like it being live. Hold on a second. Shout out to Peter Ortiz for the 20 bomb.
So you heard the first shot on that camera at 10:15:53.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I'm going to play Now I'm going to play camera 2, which I'm going to identify again by file number, which is 18220214. And you hear the same first shot just over a minute later on this camera at 10:16 and 56 seconds. Tell me if you agree with that after listening. There.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that was 10:16, 56 seconds on that camera, which is over.
Sounds like someone
a minute
banging on a
later
piece of
from the
metal.
first camera.
Correct.
And on the third camera, which is file 1A221240, you hear, hold on a second, right? You hear that same first shot 4 seconds after that last. You hear that
Oh my
same
gosh,
first
I messed
shot
it up. What happened?
4 seconds after that last video at 10:17 on the dot. Tell me if you agree.
Hold on, we'll fix it. Really, Scooby-Doo
Yes,
this
I-
up?
Okay. So a reason that the times would be off from each other is because at least 2 of the clocks are running faster than the other.
That could be a reason, yes. Independent systems.
And a reason that a timestamp on a camera would be faster than actual time is because the clock for that camera would be running faster than actual time.
Yes, sir, just like here in the courtroom.
Good example, just like here in the court. With that in mind, let's look at one more. Let's look at video from camera 2, just before the flow light goes off. And now I think it's defensive tip we're going to show, right?
DD.
DD, Your Honor.
Delta Delta. Y'all remember Delta Delta?
This is from 6200 Hollywood Boulevard. And again, I read the file number. I'll read it again. It's 18221716. The first, before you play, hold on a second. The first timestamp shown on this camera is 10:17:17.
That's correct.
Okay. And the video itself is at 0 seconds because, hold on a second. I just want to make sure we're in the same video here.
Papa Papa or Papa Papa.
We do have, in fact, the same video. Okay. So I think you just agreed the video itself is at 0 seconds because it has not started yet, correct, sir?
That's correct.
10:17 and 17 seconds.
Yes, sir, on the clock, here, lower clock.
All right, let's play the video until the floodlight is on. 9 seconds later at 10:17:26. Go ahead, please.
Oh, there it goes.
Okay. You see that?
Yes,
Floodlight on?
correct.
I'm sorry?
Yes,
Okay. And it says 10:17:26.
it does.
And how many seconds faster than, how many seconds later from 10:17:17 is that?
9 seconds.
9 seconds. Yeah, how many seconds right off the clock?
8.
So that's something's wrong there, right?
Yes, I mean,
Okay.
whether or not it would stop right at 8, 8:29, I don't know how to explain.
Thank you.
Well, okay. The clock says, Chad. So it's 10:17:26 seconds, which is 9 seconds after 10:17:17 seconds. But the video only ran 8 seconds. You can see that, correct? And the floodlight isn't back on, right?
That's correct.
All right. So this would indicate, at least here, that the video is about 1 second past here.
Could be within 1 second, correct.
Yeah. And given that, it's fair to say that the shot heard on 1616 Vista Del Mar should have been about a second later than shown in the sequence surveillance video, right?
Certainly not my area of expertise as far as the way sound travels and light
Oh,
travels and
come
travel at
on.
different speeds, but that would be within my expertise. But that's
Come
correct.
on, man. Don't do that.
You put this together, the sequence of events, right?
No.
Who did?
I believe it was somebody in the district attorney's office.
Okay.
The district attorney put this together? Oh.
Off of this stuff now. Just two more things. And we're done.
Oh, that's terrible.
Now you can. You earlier testified about the police officers who arrived at the scene on November 6th, 2021. Remember those 7 officers?
Yes, I do.
They were there for approximately 20 minutes, more or less.
I think more or less.
20 minutes.
Yikes.
Okay. And one last thing, you submitted, I guess in January of 2024, evidence to the ballistics lab for testing in this case, right?
Thereabouts, yes.
And the testing was done, oh, I'm sorry. It was done it was submitted in December of 2023, right?
I believe that's correct.
I can just refresh.
I believe when the return came back, it was a different date than when it was submitted.
You're right. Just take a look, make sure. Same dates here.
Yes, sir.
So that report was, I guess, finalized in January 8th, 2024.
That's correct.
And that was given back to you, this report?
Yes, it was submitted to myself and one of my partners.
But yet, that report was not given to the district attorney until about 2 weeks ago, for the first time, correct?
Yes, that's my understanding.
Over a year since the report was given back to you or one of your partners.
Correct. That's my understanding, yes, sir. I believed it had been given, but
Not really.
I could be
Not
here.
really, Peter.
Well, obviously, the district attorney represented that they got it the first time, 2 weeks ago.
correct.
The DA, was the DA even informed of its existence, do you know?
I'm sorry, what point?
Yeah, at this point, it's going to be a 3-2 against state court staff.
That's it. Okay, thank you for your time.
Sir, motion to strike whatever answer was given. I don't know, was there an answer?
I don't think you gave an answer.
The question is stricken, and if there was an answer, that's stricken as well.
Okay.
So
Mr.
the last question, correct?
The last question? Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Zolman, do you have anything?
I do, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I tell you, he's good. Shout out to Laura C.
Detective, when you were testifying, I believe that was on Tuesday,
Yes, sir.
you were asked questions about the latent fingerprint examination of the prior cartridge cases in this case. Do you remember that?
Yes,
And as a detective, you said you have almost 30 years of experience as a police officer, correct?
just passed my 29th anniversary. Yes.
Okay. If I round you up to 1
Wow.
year, we call it just approximately 30 years.
I appreciate it.
Fair? Okay. Do you have an understanding of what could potentially impact whether or not you would find a fingerprint on any kind of object?
Yes.
What are some of the factors that you're aware of?
Time in which it was processed, the exposure to the elements, rain, water, foot traffic, cars, depending on where it's at, wind, other weather events, I mean, anything, other people going through the area or touching vehicles. I mean, it just depends on where the item is going to be processed, with conditions it's found in, and how long it's exposed to those conditions.
What about temperature? Is that one of the things that would potentially affect it?
Yes.
Objection to leading.
Yeah.
exposure of a fingerprint to something of high temperature potentially impact whether or not it's able to be located later?
I think so.
Good afternoon,
You also
Pepper.
said you've had extensive experience firing firearms, in your throughout your law enforcement career, correct?
Yes.
When a gun discharges a fired cartridge casing, when it first comes out of the gun, is it hot?
Yes, on a semi-automatic specifically.
Where's he going with
the
this?
Cartridges, just from personal experience, I've had them land on me. When we go up to the police academy to shoot a qualified, we're on a line. So oftentimes the casings are ejected as the next person next to you is firing. So I've many times felt that the casing landed in my neck or in my collar and they're hot.
In your nearly 30 years of experience, 29 years of experience as a police officer, can you personally recall any cases of yours where fingerprints were developed from a fired cartridge case?
None that I can think of.
And you said you've worked on homicide cases, correct?
Yes, sir.
A fair number of those involve firearms.
A good majority, yes.
Can you give the jury any idea of how many cases you think you've handled over your career?
I mean, between homicide cases or cases involving firearms, as the lead investigator or assisting in investigations, probably to date, I would say probably in excess of 2,000 cases I've assisted or led.
You were asked similar questions about DNA evidence potentially on the fired cartridge case, correct?
Yes.
And based on your background and experience, do you have any idea of things that could impact whether or not DNA is present on an item?
I mean, along the same lines as fingerprints, exposure to the elements, contamination, anything from human contamination, vehicle, wherever it's exposed to, weather.
Could temperature also potentially impact it as well?
Yes.
In your almost 30 years experience as a police officer, can you personally recall any cases where DNA was developed on a fired cartridge case in later cases?
Not that I can think of.
After the
What's your point?
cases are booked, in your experience as a police officer, can they be made available to the defense if the defense wants to conduct their own independent testing?
Yes.
In this case, could the defense have done their own DNA testing?
Yes.
That's what it's looking like, Ryan.
On cross-examination, you were specifically asked if you observed any video of Mr. Efron returning to the crime scene the night of this incident. Was there any video in this case that you ever had possession of that was captured after 11:20 p.m., capturing specifically that intersection of Vista Del Mar and Selma?
No.
I want you to assume, for purposes of a hypothetical, that victim in a case returns to a crime scene at 11:45 p.m. Would the video that you recovered that only goes to 11:20, would that video have shown that person's presence at the scene?
No, no.
Mr. Efron's girlfriend returning to the scene, assume the same hypothetical that she came back with that individual at 11:20. Would the video that you collected in this case, would it even show her?
At 11:20?
Sorry, if she returned with Mr. Efron at 11:45, the video that only goes up to 11:20 show her?
No.
Okay.
Objection, Your Honor. This is the fact not in evidence. It would just mean that they didn't
Overruled.
have the video.
No speaking objections. Overruled.
Okay. On cross-examination,
Can the jury? No, no, stop. No editorializing by anybody. Ask another question, Mr. President.
just one moment, Your Honor, trying to organize this.
No speaking objections.
In cross-examination, Mr. Tacopina asked you questions about your prior testimony at the preliminary hearing, and specifically read you a passage regarding whether or not you asked Mr. Efron if he had firearms back in November of 2021. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Okay.
Peterson McDonald's.
Through your testimony prior to that, were you asked,
Page 9.
page 269,
Which
on
volume?
5,
Which volume?
volume 2, Your Honor.
2?
2, yes.
Which, repeat the page, please.
269. I'm going to first go with 5 to 11, Your Honor.
Yep, that's a fact.
Can you read the question back?
On cross-examination, Mr. Tacopina asked you
Give me 1
questions
second
about
then.
your prior testimony of the preliminary hearing, and specifically read you a passage regarding whether or not you asked Mr. Efron if he had firearms back in November of 2021. Do you recall that? Answer, yes. Question, your testimony prior to that, were you asked? And then, do you have a page number?
All right, what was the next question you were going to ask?
As you read the question he was asked at line 5, and go through his answer at line.
That's not a prior inconsistent statement from what he said. Your question was, did he ask Efron? That's not what this question asked.
Now, I wasn't offering as a prior inconsistent statement.
Why don't you just ask the same question that you asked the preliminary hearing?
Did you ever look to see what firearms were registered to Mr. Efron
Yes.
at the time of the incident in November of 2021?
Yes.
And what did you discover when you searched for any guns that would be registered to him at that time?
We didn't find any firearms registered to Mr. Efron.
Okay. Okay. In your nearly 30 years of experience in law enforcement, have you ever conducted an interview with a significant witness in a case and either not recorded your interview or not taken notes and not written a report?
No, not that I can recall ever doing that.
As an investigator, can you tell the jury why you either record your interviews or take notes and then write a report immediately following your interviews?
I like to record because it's 100% accurate. The reports are done generally for our purposes as a summary, kind of as a refresher, to identify key points that were made during the interview. But again, my preference has always been to record because that's always 100% accurate.
Would you ever interview a witness and not record your interview or not write a report or not take any notes of that interview in your experience as an investigator?
Objection or irrelevance, whether you would or would not.
Make an offer of proof.
Well, but the first question is a significant witness. Now you're asking any witness.
Okay, I
So,
know.
any witness, that question's irrelevant. The answer would be irrelevant.
Sure. Imagine a scenario where you interviewed somebody months prior. Hypothetically, you did not record this interview, you did not write a report, and you did not take any notes. Then months later, you go back and try to summarize what that witness told you. Is that something that and that witness is a significant witness in your case that you're investigating, is that something that a trained police officer such as yourself would ever do?
Objection, Your Honor, culpable speculation.
No.
Why not?
I mean, it's just not accurate. Again, my preference would be to record it, just so it's 100% accurate to go off that for any kind of summary.
Okay, in addition to going off of the summary, if you record your interviews in a case, are those also given to the district attorney?
Yes.
Would those also be given to the defense?
Yes, and every,
Would anyone involved in the case then have the opportunity to hear verbatim what questions you asked and what the answers were that were given?
correct.
Likewise, if you record your interviews, you said after you conduct an interview that you will summarize your interview in a police report, correct?
Yes, typically in the police report or as part of the case, yes.
In this case specifically, did you speak to Mr. Efron the day that you were assigned to this case?
Yes, on the November 9th, 2021, yes.
And did you record your interview with him in any way?
Yes, that was recorded, but it included myself, Detective Camacho, Detective Naffy.
Understood. But when you say it was recorded, was it an audio recording?
That was an audio recording because it was a telephonic interview.
And did the audio recording capture your voice and his voice?
It did.
Well, let's hear it.
When you later
Thank you,
went back
Blissful.
and, or not you, or when your partner, I believe you said, went back and summarized that interview, summarized it into a report, correct?
Correct.
And I believe that you testified that there were a few sentences in the report that had some inaccuracies, correct?
That is correct.
But that was the inaccuracies in the report, not, those were not things that Mr. Efron specifically said in the report. Were those inaccuracies in the report, or were those things that Mr. Efron said to you in the report?
There were inaccuracies in the report. Summary.
Okay. I believe you were specifically asked about whether after the shooting, Mr. Efron contacted an attorney before he returned to the scene to recover the gun casings located at Selma and Vista Del Mar. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And did Mr. Efron ever make that statement to you that he did things in that order?
That is not my recollection.
If Mr. Efron testified that he first collected the cartridge cases and then he contacted an attorney, did he ever tell you anything directly contradictory to that?
I'm sorry, sir, I don't understand.
Yeah. If Mr. Efron testified that he first went to the scene and collected the cartridge cases and he contacted an attorney at some point after that, did he ever say anything to you that was different from that order?
No.
You sure about that?
I believe you were also asked about a line in a report in which it was written that Mr. Efron said that Hills had a knife. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
Did Mr. Efron ever make that statement to you?
No.
Was that just an inaccuracy in the summary of the report?
That's correct. It was an inaccuracy.
That's a big inaccuracy, though.
When you were also asked if you, that essentially you knew that there was that inaccuracy in the report prior to your testimony today, correct?
Correct.
And you were asked if you ever went back to correct that police report, correct?
Correct.
Did you testify under oath at a prior hearing in November 2023 at the preliminary hearing to that inaccuracy?
Yes, I did.
So did you tell the court, the DA, and the defense that that line in your report that Hills had a knife was not correct?
That's correct.
Has Mr. Efron ever identified anybody else other than Mr. Phillips, who we've been calling ASAP Twelvyy, as the person with the knife outside of the parking lot?
No.
Here we go. He's about to get Twelvyy now.
On cross-examination, a little bit on Tuesday and into today, I believe mostly on Tuesday, you were asked about whether you reviewed individual videos, and based upon those individual videos, you could tell certain characteristics about the gun. Do you recall that?
Yes.
when you review evidence to determine something like whether a gun is operable, if you have multiple videos, do you view those videos individually to make that determination, or do you view them collectively to make that determination?
Collectively, obviously, look at them individually, but look at them as a whole, and obviously try to put them in sequence with events collectively.
Okay. And I believe you said when you review the video from the parking structure, that individual video, you couldn't say it was an operable gun, correct?
Correct.
But when you review the video collectively, is it your belief that the gun that we see in the defendant's hand was operable?
Objection to leading.
It is.
When you viewed the videos collectively, what was your opinion regarding whether the gun was operational?
And that it was an operational firearm.
How did you come to that determination?
I mean, in the totality of the circumstances, the first view of the weapon, followed by the second view, the reaction to the incident as the four individuals in the distance in the camera were scrambling, as you can see that something's going on, in conjunction with the sounds of the shots heard from the other camera, and then the fluidity of everybody running through the cameras over to El Centro. That along the lines with
That did not test the shell
information
casing.
provided by Mr. Efron, that was my opinion, that it was an operable firearm and that shots had been fired.
Okay. When you reviewed the sequenced surveillance video, were you reviewing whether or not they were sequenced? What were you using to determine whether they were sequenced accurately?
The totality, just the movements of the individuals in the cameras, again, along with pieces of lights, but a lot of it has to do just with the sequence of events, walking around from one side to the next, and just kind of following the individuals in the video, and obviously in conjunction with the sound. So it sounds more difficult than it is, but it's just kind of collectively putting it all together and watching it.
Okay, from what you were just describing, it sounds like you were using audio and visual cues in the videos, correct?
Yes.
Did you specifically use the timestamps in order to determine if they were sequenced correctly?
No, not exactly. Obviously, I understand from collecting
All right, Nick.
videos, in a lot of cases that individual surveillance cameras systems are all different, and they all can be off by seconds, hours, depending on how they're maintained and kept and updated. So again, a lot of it has to do with just kind of finding certain markers within whatever crime, whatever we're looking for at the time, to try to kind of establish what happened. When you're dealing with more than one camera that captures different points of view from different areas.
Okay, when you collect a video,
Telling us a whole lot of nothing.
Timestamps for accuracy. Are you checking it down to the fraction of a second?
I mean, it's captured, and we take that into account and try to determine how far off it may have been. Again, the other factors include that we can't control the maintenance of it, how it's been updated, when it's been serviced.
But to the fraction of a second, that's what you're checking, or are you checking minutes, hours, things like that?
Generally checking minutes, hours, and events captured that coincide with other markers that we do have, whether it's from another camera or a witness or something else that kind of puts us in that right time frame that we're looking for.
As to the videos from the residents on Del Mar, the one that had the audio, counsel kept using the word rewind. Were those physical tapes that you or your partners collected, or was that digital video?
The camera from 6200 residential is all digital.
Were any of the surveillance cameras in this case captured on manual analog tape, or were they all digital recording?
Now they all have been computer digital.
Okay. At the beginning of his questions of you, Mr. Takapina asked you about whether or not you had spoken to Twelvyy. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Do you know for a fact that Twelvyy, to this day, still refuses to be interviewed by law enforcement?
Objection, that assumes a fact, not supposed to be there.
Yep.
No speaking objections. It's the objection sustained. Ask another question.
To this day, have you been able to interview Twelvyy?
No.
Have you ever been present when Twelvyy was asked if he would agree to an interview?
Yes.
And what was his answer when asked if he would agree to an interview by law enforcement?
He said nope.
Similarly, you were asked about whether or not you've talked to Mr. Levin. Did you have any indication that before January 20th of 2025, the day before jury selection, that Mr. Levin had any role in this case?
No, not any direct role, no.
Once you were made aware of that he could possibly have anything to say, did you take any efforts to try to interview him or talk to him?
Yes.
Were you successful in those efforts?
No.
Have you been present when Mr. Levin was also present and asked if he would specifically agree to be interviewed by law enforcement?
Yes.
And what was his answer to that question?
No.
They don't like y'all.
As to both Twelvyy and Mr. Levin, did those questions as to whether or not they would agree to an interview with law enforcement, did those occur in this courtroom?
Yes.
Did you or your partners attempt to speak to Mr. Mayer to defend?
Yes.
And were you or your partner successful in that effort?
No.
All right, Your Honor, I don't have anything.
Thank you.
Yes, just briefly.
All right. Come on, Joe, bring it home. Let's get Twelvyy up here.
Because we're almost done. You asked a bunch of questions by Mr. Sloman just now about a host of inaccuracies on fairly significant issues in
Your Honor,
your reports.
the question is argumentative in itself. It's stage of access, not an evidence.
Okay. I agree.
Just a minute.
Come on, Joe.
Mark?
I don't believe that the question is argumentative.
You assume facts, not an evidence as well, Your Honor. And the question you read back,
Read the question back.
Detective, we're almost done. You were asked a bunch of questions by Mr. Preslovic just now about a host of inaccuracies on fairly significant issues in your reports.
what's vague?
Okay. You asked questions about, let's generalize it first, inaccuracies in police reports, right?
Correct.
Okay. One of those, for example, were who had the knife, right?
Yes.
That's a significant issue, isn't it?
Yes, in the report, yes.
One was whether Mr. Efron was instructed by his attorney to go back to the scene and pick up the shell casings or not. That's a significant issue, isn't it?
Correct.
Okay. And those two issues in the reports were inaccurate, correct, according to you?
Yes.
And those could have been corrected at some point, right?
Yes, they could.
They never were they?
I mean, as far as generating a new report, other than what's been explained in court, no.
Right. So the reports today are still inaccurate on those issues.
Correct.
You were asked about one other thing.
You said the question was vague.
Let's start with this. 12. You were asked if you would agree to interview, if 12 would agree to be interviewed by you, and you said, he said, no, he wouldn't. Are you referring to, correct, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Are you referring to 2 weeks ago in court here?
Yes.
Is that the first time you tried to interview him?
Yes.
So, in January of 2025 is the first time you tried to interview Twelvyy about an incident that occurred in November 6th of 2021, correct?
Correct. Me personally, yes.
How about anyone else from your police department?
Yes. No, that would
No.
be the first one. Correct.
Now, you were then asked questions about whether the firearm was operational. Remember those questions just now?
Yes, sir.
You testified already on cross-examination that the video from the garage, you can't indicate if that's an operational firearm or not, correct?
Correct.
You testified on Tuesday that the video from 1616 Vista Del Mar, that from that video you said, that video alone, there's no evidence of a shooting, correct?
That video alone, no.
Correct. But then you said the totality of the circumstances lead you to believe that the firearm was operational, remember, just now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the totality of the circumstances relative to testimony.
The physical evidence, the video, collectively, yes.
Well, the video, you just said both videos don't add to the fact that it's operational or not.
Right.
Collectively, as a whole, not the two that you just cited, but in the entirety of all the videos involved, yes.
Well, which video shows you the firearm was operational? Which video?
Sir, as you put them together with the sound, with the sequence of events, along with the physical evidence and the statement from Mr. Efron, that is just my opinion that it is operational, and that's why I believe it.
That's not what he asked, though. He said which video shows it. Not, oh, you just Frankenstein put some videos together and then it shows that the gun is operational? How? It doesn't show any of that. Because without the guy who allegedly got shot at returning to the scene after 7 police officers searched it and finding 2 shell casings, allegedly, you wouldn't know if the gun was operational or not, other than the testimony of one guy.
Take out Mr. Efron for 1 second, because he's the one who recovered shell casings, right?
Yes.
And he's the one who gives you the narrative on that video that you can't tell what happened, the 1616.
Correct. I mean, as
Yeah.
he provides narrative of the sequence of events, the initial encounter of the gun that was displayed to him, what he believed to be a gun.
All right.
Whether it's operational or not at that point, I can't tell you. But the sequence of events as they evolved to Selma and Vista Del Mar, the cameras there, the incident that took place as far as what I can describe as a scramble during some, obviously, the events that occurred there that Mr. Efron described as being shot at was consistent.
What?
In conjunction with the audio from the cameras. Again, this is just what I'm looking at when I'm trying to rationalize and give my opinion as to why I believe it is the gun that was fired.
I'm sorry, you're done?
Yes, sir.
Take Mr. Efron out of the equation for a second.
Okay.
Take him out of the equation. You don't have Mr. Efron. And therefore, his shell casings that he remembered, which we talked about the issues with that on Tuesday. Without Mr. Efron and his narrative or version of events, with those 2 videos that you said independently, you cannot tell if it's an operable firearm. And the second video you said you can't see there is a firearm.
It's the improper hypothetical which relies on evidence.
The answer would be
But yeah, give his opinion.
You want to use his opinion to respond?
No,
Okay. Okay.
taking something out of the equation then makes the hypothetical irrelevant. So ask another question.
Is your conclusion based on the fact that Relly's narrative is truthful?
It is consistent up to the point of what he describes occurred, based on what I've been able to see in connection with the physical evidence that has been provided.
So let me break it down this way. Video 1 alone, you don't know if the gun is operable.
Correct.
Video 2, that's 1616 Vista Del Mar, all of it. So what? You don't even know if there's a gun based on the video.
Specifically, just looking at that and not looking at anything else, no.
Okay. You then hear sounds that appear to be a gunshot, right?
Correct.
Aside from a gun, what else could make those sounds? An operable gun, I should say.
The sound that I heard off that camera,
Sounds like someone's banging on metal.
I mean, a firearm, some kind of replica firearm potentially, but distinct sound of the firearm. Then again, my belief it was a firearm.
Right. Thank you.
But he doesn't know.
So let's anything?
Would you agree that you don't need Mr. Efron's truthful testimony in order to determine that a shooting occurred at that location?
Check out.
That
What?
question was
It's
asked.
a different question. He's asking a different question.
Can I get a question in your eye, please?
Would you agree you don't need Mr. Efron's truthful testimony in order to determine that a shooting occurred at that location?
Right, so taking him out of the equation. That's number one. Number two, it's leading. It's leading is from me.
Yeah, the court's ruling, we're getting more speaking objections.
Stating my words.
Those are not move around other speech.
Read the question again.
Would you agree you don't need Mr. Efron's truthful testimony in order to determine that a shooting occurred at that location?
It would be a proper question if the question ended with occurred. But when you say at that location, then I believe that calls for speculation.
Would you agree you don't need Mr. Efron's truthful testimony to establish a shooting occurred?
Yes.
I don't have any answer.
I do now.
What?
So, without Mr. Efron's truthful testimony, what leads you to believe a shooting without Mr. Efron's truthful testimony? So I guess he's now out of the equation. What leads you to believe? What would lead you to believe a shooting occurred?
Again, just looking at the video, the first incident where guns displayed, he obviously falls through.
That was a
the
crazy question.
Scramble, as you can best describe.
That's not.
Yes, sir.
He needs to answer questions, ask the question.
You asked a question, let's finish.
Okay, so.
So again, it just comes down to, sir, is looking at everything in combination, even without Mr. Efron's statement. If I were an investigating officer just responding to investigate a shooting scene where maybe there was some evidence found and establishing what had occurred without a potential witness, would be obviously look at the same video, listen to the same sound of gunfire. Again, it's just factors that would be known at the time. But it would still lead me to believe that there had been some actual shooting short of a recording witness being present. I would still believe that.
Okay. So you first cited the fact that a gun was displayed. That was the first thing you just cited, right?
Correct.
Which you already told the jury. The gun that was displayed, the only time you could see a gun in any video was the part you were after him.
Correct.
You already told the jury.
He's assuming a lot.
Right?
Correct, because it was not fired at that point.
Well, you also said the sound could also have been made by a non-operable firearm. You just said that before.
Again, it's in the realm of possibilities.
Okay.
From what I've heard, again, based on the sound, again, this is just my opinion, my expertise, and my experience. I believe
Here goes
it
the
to be
prop
fired.
gun.
You also heard, you were here when the police officer's body cam from the scene was played, right?
Yes, sir.
And you heard the police officer say there's no evidence of a shooting here. You heard that, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Detective Flores. You can step down. Next witness.
All right, there he
This
is.
is Mr. Ryan Weaver.
The last witness.
It is.
All right, so this is the state's last witness. What do y'all think about Detective Flores?
Given the very police are almost at noon hour, we are certainly going to be in the court and the jury who's literally just starting at 1:30 instead of the.
No, sorry.
Just letting the court know.
It's just, I think a lot of this goes to show how so much assumptions are made by these police departments. He said, throw away, he being Joe, he said, we're throwing away Relly's testimony now, apparently. Throw that testimony away. What made you think a shooting took place? He said, well, you know, in this one video, we saw him have a gun and he pulled it out and he put it back in his waist. And then in the next video, it looks like maybe there was possibly a gun that was fired. And then the sound that we took from this video, we matched up at that point, and it looks like maybe possibly he could have fired a gun. Come on, man. Come on. And Joe made a great point to say, so that sound could have been made by an inoperable gun, according to you. And he said, it's in the realm of possibility. Reasonable doubt. Jeez. Is it reasonable to think that the police officers, all 7 of them, wouldn't have missed the shell casing? Yes. Is it reasonable to think that Relly could have went to the crime scene and had a motive based on his lawsuit, found those shell casings and took them to the police? Yes. This thing's over.
No, 15 minutes left. Let's use it.
Trying to put lunch lines out there.
Yeah, this thing is done.
Just raise your right hand for us, please. Thank you. You solemnly state that the testimony you may give in the cause not that before this court should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help God.
I do.
Would you please take a seat on the witness stand there?
Thank you.
Please state and spell your name for the record.
My name is Fani Willis. First name Fadil. Last name Birayimah.
Thank you.
Sir, would you tell the jury who you work for?
Yes, for the Los Angeles Police Department Forensic Science Division.
And how long have you worked for LAPD?
Just shy of 20 years.
Are you a police officer?
No.
Where do you work within LAPD?
CSI probably.
So I'm a civilian employee. I'm a criminalist employed at the Forensic Science Division, essentially the crime lab.
Is
CSI.
the laboratory that you work in an accredited lab?
It is.
And what's your job title at the laboratory?
I'm a criminalist 3.
How long specifically have you been a criminalist for?
For 19 years, almost 20.
The entire time that you worked?
Yes.
What unit are you currently assigned to within the lab?
Within the lab, I've actually just recently been assigned to the toxicology unit. It's a very recent assignment. I've been in firearms for about the 20 years prior to that.
Okay. You say very recent. When was that transfer made?
January 13th.
Of this year?
Yes.
Okay. Your entire time before that, you said you worked in the firearm analysis unit?
Correct.
Okay. Can you give the jury just a broad idea of what your job duties entail working when you worked in the firearm analysis unit?
So a criminalist in the firearms unit, we are primarily trained to perform work within the laboratory. That's where we spend most of our time. We perform the analysis of firearms and firearm-related evidence. This is the type of analysis that's commonly referred to as ballistic comparison. We call it firearm identification. In addition to this, we respond to the field in order to process crime scenes, particularly
Yes,
shooting
this is our
scenes
last
and
witness.
officer-involved shootings are our main field obligations. We generate reports regarding these analyses and testify about them in court.
When you're specifically analyzing firearms and firearm-related components, can you give the jury an idea of what some of those items are that you're looking at?
Yes, so we are trained in the operation and structure of a wide range of different firearms. A firearm for us is a device that propels a projectile by means of combustions. So this wouldn't really include airsoft guns, things of that nature. But firearms, which actually fire live cartridges or ammunition, during the discharge process, they will actually cause marks to be impressed onto those ammunition components. So this is a large part of our responsibilities, is to perform the microscopic comparison of fired ammunition components. These could be bullets or cartridge cases, with the aim of determining what types of firearms they might be compatible with, or actually continuing to determine whether 2 items have been fired in the same firearm or were eliminated as having been fired in the same firearm.
Can you tell the jury about your educational background, any training or experience that you have that qualifies you to perform those functions that you just described in the lab of comparing firearms and firearm-related components?
Yes, well, entry-level criminalists have a natural chemistry, natural science background. I have a degree in biochemistry. This prepares you for most of the work in the crime lab. But to perform the analyses in the firearm analysis unit, we complete another lengthy training program. This is the firearm examiner training program. It has a duration of about 2.5 years. It includes lecture, literature review, and live fire exercises. By these means, we learn about the structure and function of ammunition. We learn to operate a wide range of different firearms. And we actually spend about an 18-month period training on microscopes in order to perform the comparison of discharged fire components. I completed that training program in 2009. I spent the following decade as a full-time firearm examiner. Each year of that period, I was tested by an outside firm in order to maintain my qualification. I am also certified by the Association of Firearm and Toolmark Examiners. This is the premier professional organization in my field, certified in the area of firearm examination and identification. In the course of my work there, I've performed the examination of more than 3,600 items of evidence, logged more than 600 hours in the processing of crime scenes.
Wow,
and,
he's a professional.
About 6 years ago, I advanced to the position of Criminals 3. So in addition to the duties I've described, I also do training of other firearm examiners. I work on special projects and research for the firearm analysis unit.
Do you continue to attend professional organization meetings to maintain your proficiency in firearm analysis?
Oh my gosh.
Yes, during that period, under our accreditation requirements, it's encouraged for us to have continuing education. So I've completed, I believe, about 575 hours of additional coursework outside of the actual department. This includes workshops and training from some of the leading professionals.
Right, who is
in
typing
my
back there?
industry,
Killing me.
as well as certain agencies such as the California Criminalistics Institute, which is operated by the California Department of Justice.
You mentioned that you were tested by an outside vendor, outside of LAD, right?
Yes.
Are those commonly called proficiency tests?
Yes.
And are they required to maintain your
Yeah,
accreditation?
403 is actually for real.
Yes, the lab is accredited, and requirements for that, we must participate in proficiency testing by approved vendors outside of our actual agency.
And are those tests graded? Those proficiency tests?
Yes, they're evaluated.
Aren't they
And have
crazy?
you successfully
Oh
completed
my
them?
gosh.
Yes.
Dang, we get it. He's good at his
How
job.
many times do you think you
Sheesh.
testified in court about firearm and tool mark identification?
I'd say over 60 times. I testified around 75 times in total, but that includes testifying about field work
Wow.
as well.
Okay. In a general sense, what was you were, let's start with, you were assigned as a criminalist in this case, correct?
Yes.
And what was the task that you were assigned to complete specifically related to this case?
I was tasked with the analysis of 2 ammunition components. These are cartridge cases, discharged cartridge cases, or a type of examination that we call type and caliber determination.
Your Honor, I'm going to move into a different area. Do you want me to start that? Or?
Well, it's close enough. We'll break that.
Sure. We put it on back for a second before you go through what come back.
Okay.
Are they taking a break? Dang, what happened? We just heard his credentials and they shut it down? They are taking a break. Is this a lunch break or is this just a regular break? We'll have to wait and see.
Is it Duriva or Clary? B or D? First letter of your last name.
B as in boy.
B is in boy. All right, jurors have left. What do you want right now?
Your Honor, there was a question that was asked of the detective on the stand. And the question involved video during my full counsel's the question involved whether or not there was video that was available that would have shown the witness and the girlfriend had that given the time that was involved,
Right.
The court indicated that they showed up after the video stopped.
Right.
Mr. Siegel said, the court sustained objection, but I believe I heard Mr. Siegel say, that doesn't mean they didn't have the video. Now, if, listen,
What?
yeah,
That's not what I said.
okay, so I just asked, again, because of my court hearings, I'm not the best reporter of this, but I just want to ask if the court reporter can check if that line is in there, because if the jury heard that, if I heard it right, and if the jury heard it, that's
Repeat
wrong.
what you think you heard.
I thought I heard him say, in reference, that doesn't mean they didn't have the video. Meaning, in essence, that we
Who's
would
talking
have
about,
the
John?
video.
Hold on, I'm writing that. That doesn't mean
They didn't have the video. So, and again, maybe I heard it wrong because I don't hear right, but I mentioned it as soon as I heard it. I objected. I couldn't make a speaking objection, so we had to bring it up after the jury was gone. So I would just ask that.
So I can understand. The question was, would something, if the video stopped at 11:20, would something that occurred at 11:45 appear on the video that stopped 25 minutes early?
It was during one of those couple of questions involving Mr. Resnick. He asked about the victim. He also asked about his girlfriend. I believe it was a question about the girlfriend in the video. And
All right, can you look for that? Do you, was that your question? That wasn't the objection. So, can you just look for those words?
Thank you.
All right, see everybody at 1:45. And Mr. Breezy said, Mr. Abrima said, we're right here. There he is. Yeah. Thank you.
And John's trying to figure out something. I don't know what he's talking about. All right, that's it. So I got to change the title because we didn't get any Twelvyy today, man. Dang, but we're going to talk about it tomorrow. So hopefully Twelvyy gets up there. I don't know if they're going to have court tomorrow. I'm hearing reports that the defense possibly could call their first witness on Monday. I don't think they'll go right into it. So we'll see what happens the rest of the day and I'll keep y'all posted. Let me read a couple of these super chats. Shout out to Peter Ortiz in here. Dropped the 20 bomb. Thank you, Peter. He just said, you're amazing. You're amazing, Peter. I appreciate the love, man. Peter is consistently out here in these YouTube streets, showing support here, showing support for Kat and a lot of other people. So I appreciate it, Peter. Thank you for being here. We've also got Shy Gal in here. She dropped the 2 bomb as well, saying what's up. All right, y'all, we're dropping a couple more clips this afternoon and into tomorrow. So make sure y'all check those out. If you haven't yet, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any time we drop a new video or that we go live. So we'll be live twice tomorrow. Make sure y'all look out for that. And I'll finish up some of the reports I had for today that we didn't get to because there's still a lot to get into and what's going on in the world. I appreciate y'all. Hope y'all have a great rest of your day. And as always, you know what to do. Keep growing, keep pushing, keep it classy. We go. Peace.